562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River.
Happy holidays from Specialty Truck and Auto. Please help me make sure our military members know how much you're appreciated this holiday season. While you're out Christmas shopping or celebrating with family and friends, join me in shaking the hand of a military member and give a heartfelt thank you each and every chance you get. If you happen to see a military member out enjoying a meal, you might consider quietly paying for their meal as a sign of your gratitude for the sacrifices they make for each of us every day, which allows each of us the freedom to celebrate this holiday season in whatever fashion we choose. Thank you from Specialty Truck and Auto.
Are you ready? Dan Fagan and Glen Biegel are here. They're going to tear it up, rip it down, and shoot it straight. Fagan and Biegel in the morning on Hot Talk, KOAN. And now, Fagan and Biegel. Fagan and Biegel.
Well, I can report to you there's a slight, gentle snowfall. It was snowing as I was driving in, and I get out of my car and I walk about half the distance from the car door to the door of the studio, and what do you know?
Filtering out of the sky.
Just out of a Christmas movie.
Oh. Beautiful December snow.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
December.
Welcome. What is today? The 1st?
Yes.
My brain is fried.
Why is that?
Why, December already? I don't know. I
Seems
guess
like we were just saying November.
Yeah, it's the last 7 days.
14 went quickly.
Mm-hmm.
14 went quickly. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron here on KOAN, KVNT, broadcasting on those stations. Also streaming danfagan.us. Our number 569-1080. Everybody had a good holiday, I hope.
Very good.
Would you have a good meal?
Yes, had a wonderful meal out in the valley, and good fellowship, great friends, good time.
You know, my poker buddies, we used to call our poker game every week a fellowship.
Oh.
Which was, of course, the height of sarcasm.
Yeah, it does sound interesting.
It was nothing
for a bunch of guys. I don't think fellowship really applies.
It was literally the complete opposite of
fellowship, where I take all your money and dance on your grave.
That's right.
Take that, sucker.
But literally, we got to the point where that's where we called it this. We got fellowship this week. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, it just wasn't a real.
Did that sound better to
churchy.
The wives and girlfriends?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what that was all about, but I've been to a fellowship before, and it did not in any way, shape, or form resemble a fellowship.
There was chips.
I got to tell you, man, this. When O.J. Simpson was acquitted, I was a news reporter. I don't even remember where I was. I just remember they sent me to a university. And I honestly don't remember the town. I was trying to think last night. What year was he acquitted? Anybody remember?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
No
it was
clue.
a long.
If I knew, I could tell you what university where I was. But
I'll look it up.
So we went to it was a student section, and it was actually where they had they ate their things, their lunches and breakfasts and all that.
Like cafeteria?
No, it wasn't that. It was more because it was like it's where the students hung out.
Oh, okay.
Well, because they had big screen TVs, and most people they'd serve like hamburgers and stuff, but it wasn't the cafeteria where you get your tray and they'd slop food on it. And I don't know, the place was packed, and of course
it was 20 years ago, by the way, 1994.
20 years ago. Okay, so 1994. I got to figure that. Where was I in 1994?
June 12, 2014 was the 20 years after.
So 94 would have been let's see, that would have been Lafayette, Louisiana. So this would be the University of Southwest Louisiana. That's where I was. No, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that makes sense. There's about 300 people. 400 people. It's packed. And everybody's waiting for the verdict. The crowd is about 70% white, 30% black. And I told my photographer, I said, just give me as wide a shot as you can. I want everybody. I said, we set up in front of the screen, wanted to see everybody's face, want to see the reaction when the verdict came. And I looked at that tape many times to confirm this. 100% of the 30% of the black kids went nuts, as though they had won the lottery. They were so excited.
Wow.
It was literally oh, yeah. And then, of course, the white kids, oh. When you look at the tape, I wish I still had it. It was such an amazing tape. Just that one shot. And then, of course, we interviewed people immediately after. And to a man or to a woman, those who were black said a black man finally beat the system.
Wow.
It wasn't about OJ. It wasn't about the trial. It wasn't about Nicole Brown Smith or whatever her name was. It was about a black man no longer being railroaded by the system.
A black man in the system.
That's right. And that's what that OJ trial was all about. And for white people, that was very difficult because, look, you put a 4-year-old on a jury, they're going to say, yeah, that man did it. Sure. I mean, who's not going to? Obviously did it.
Blood at the scene.
Right.
You know, blood on the gloves, blood in the car.
Most open and shut case in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
But it wasn't about that. And that's what white people have to understand about this Michael Brown thing. This guy was not a good person, Michael Brown. The evidence is overwhelming. He attacked this cop in his car. We saw him push the guy in the store. You know, a little Asian guy, just push him like he's nothing.
Right.
This guy did not have a good heart. Sorry, Glenn. And so the bottom line is, for those in the black community, not all, but those in the poor black communities who have been told by Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and Barack Obama that they'll never make it because they're black and they live in a poor community. This is just the continuation of injustice. It's not about Michael Brown. It's not about, and so it's hard for us to understand this. It makes many of us mad. I'll tell you, I was so mad when I got my photographer was black, by the way. And when we were driving back to the station, I was so mad at him.
Why would he say?
What's wrong with your people, man? Honestly, everybody we talk to, it's your
this
people.
is one of those times. It is you people, because it was 100% of them.
Him and I were good friends.
Okay.
And I said, what's wrong, you people? I mean, this guy's a murderer, man. And he's explaining it to me. You know, you don't understand. It's the system. And I'll say this: I covered many, many, many trials throughout my life, and I've covered trials in cities where they really had a lot of murder and a lot of violent crime. And it is very true that if you were to take a black man from a poor community who, say, has 2 or 3 drug arrests, trespassing, speeding, nothing violent.
Okay.
He's arrested for something violent. If he didn't do it, he's going to jail. The jury's not going to have any sympathy. White man, same exact scenario. Nothing violent. He's arrested for something violent. He may break it. He may beat it. Black men are automatically considered violent by juries, even if they've never done it. I mean, you say, well, he shouldn't have sold drugs. Yeah, well, that's true. But the bottom line is, if he ever gets anywhere close to anything that looks violent, he's going down.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, my experience in covering court cases, which is, I can't tell you how many court cases I've covered in my life, it typically came down to the defense attorney, how good he was. If it was a white kid from a good neighborhood, he's going to get off. If he's a public defender representing, Tyrone Jackson,
mm-hmm.
Jackson didn't have a chance.
Nope.
And Jackson may have done it, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. But so there is something there. It's not nearly to the degree that the African American community thinks it is. But I want to talk about that a little bit today. Can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. I want to hear since you covered so many court cases, if this grand jury was normal.
The one in Florida?
The one with,
and was it a normal
Ferguson.
Procedure? Right.
Yeah. No, I think it was. But we'll talk about that.
Really?
Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT, 569-1080. If you're driving in from the valley this morning, it's kind of slick out there. We'd like to get some road reports, especially since it's begun to snow. Take a break. Be right back.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call, 569-1080, KOAN.
The traffic jam. A stifling halt to your thrilling drive. But in a redesigned 2015 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, that interruption is at least tolerable. With the most luxurious interior in its class and an innovative touchpad, the all-new 2015 C-Class is as exciting to experience standing still as it is in motion. And with its improved acceleration power, your state of comfort continues, knowing you'll make it to your destination on time. To your authorized dealer and see the world differently in a C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Get the 2015 C300 4MATIC starting at just $40,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for a 2015 C300 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
Just $24.99. What are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-319-MY-TV. That's 877-319-MY-TV.
Being a business owner isn't easy. There's managing people, customers, income, expenses, unexpected issues, growing your brand, and so much more. Ready to be more efficient in everything you do? Then listen to Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Each week, David gives you the inside scoop on the latest business news and trends, along with tools for keeping your business on track. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m. Hot Talk, KOAN, man.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
Well, let me roll up onto the sidewalk and take a look here. Whoa!
6:17 in the morning, or kind of a little snowy here and there, patches of snow out and about on the first day of December. How about that? Welcome to the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Bonnie Cameron Show, December 1st, 2014, broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT, streaming live on danfagan.us. Our number 569-1080. If you're driving in this morning from the Valley or any place like that, give us a call. Let us know how the conditions are where you are, if it's slick, if things are going smoothly. We're talking about this Michael Brown thing. And it's heartbreaking. Most of all, I think you guys would both agree with me. It's just a sad situation. I think obviously the president has not helped. I remember watching his little speech about. I mean, this is his problem. This is his thing. My opinion. That's just. I don't want to be let's bash Obama at all times at any cost, but. If he had taken statesman role here, I think he could have made a big difference. That's my opinion.
You mean like not making any comment whatsoever, which is what my opinion is?
No, I don't think that's what he should have done. I think he should have just simply said that we are one nation, and I would call on those in the community who believe that police are racist, and I would say that that's just not true. Most policemen, white, black, any other race, are not racist. They're good, law-abiding people. They care about their community. Unless they live in Anchorage, they're not getting rich. Oh, that was.
So, when should a president not comment on something like that? I mean,
I think the president needs to say what's true. According to all the evidence, which is overwhelming, Michael Brown acted inappropriately. He attacked this police officer in his car, and the officer was left with no other choice but to shoot him.
But this happens. Why would he choose this one to make comments? Just because it was so
because
big?
It's so volatile. And then
But there was a national response that was going to happen too. I mean,
this is the night after his little speech right after the verdict is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Where he basically
he
said,
didn't watch the verdict, by the way.
No, he didn't.
I don't even know that he read any of the evidence.
No, didn't care. He didn't care. Neither does Al Sharpton. They're the same people.
Yeah.
So, you say, listen, I'm calling upon the people in the community of Ferguson, Missouri to respect the process, to respect the rule of law. And you may not like it, but the bottom line is this officer acted appropriately.
Yeah, I think he could have gone even beyond that. He should have said, there may be instances of racism. This is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one of those.
Yeah, acknowledge that it does happen.
And
but not in
if
this case.
you experience racism from the police or from anyone else, we have laws, we have lawyers. We are here to make sure that that turns out well. This is not one of them.
Yep.
This is not an instance of racism.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, it would have cost some street cred.
No, it would have completely changed our whole country.
It would have.
Yeah, I mean, our country would never have been the same if Barack Obama would have said, all of you people who are about to burn down your city and loot and complain about this verdict, you're wrong on this verdict.
His approval ratings would have gone up 20 points.
Oh, yeah. Well,
overnight.
He would have transformed the country. He would have, of course, destroyed CNN. CNN would have had no chance because he would have pointed out that they were essentially part of the problem.
Yep.
But it would have been fantastic for the country.
But instead, he kind of said this is justified. It's justified for there to be some violence and,
Well, he parsed his word very carefully, and he tried to play both sides. And he said some, are happy with the verdict, and some are very, very frustrated with it. And I understand that. Those are almost his exact words.
Giving credibility.
I'm down with you, brother.
Yep.
Right.
Loot, riot, burn. Tough stuff. I really want to get your take on the grand jury. You've covered a lot of trials. What is the purpose of the grand jury?
I never covered it at the grand jury stage.
Okay.
No, we'd cover the crime scene. The grand jury proceedings, of course, are secret. The old saying that everybody always hears CNN say is that you can indict a ham sandwich in a grand jury.
Yeah.
It's really that's the process the DA goes through to determine. Before he goes to the grand jury, he knows whether or not he's got enough. But it's the process you go through. Now, sometimes they don't even go to the grand jury because there's just not enough, or there's overwhelming evidence that there's no guilt here. But normally in a case like this, and anytime it's a police shooting, I would imagine they'd always go to a grand jury.
Okay.
High-profile crime. But a case like this, and there was a guy who was shot 5 times, a police officer in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He had a bulletproof vest. He lived, but he messed up pretty bad because some of the shots missed the vest, and that went to grand jury and it was dismissed. And this is just how it works. It's just how it works. And
now, I always thought the purpose of the grand jury was to determine whether there's preponderance of the evidence as presented by the prosecution to bring to trial. Essentially, there's no defense presented.
Mm-mm.
They're not a finder of fact.
Right.
But that wasn't the case here at all.
Well,
they were a finder of fact. In fact, the prosecutor literally said the purpose of this grand jury is to separate fact from fiction.
Well, that is the
because
purpose of
so many people were lying. So many people said they saw it. So many people never saw it. And all of them have come out on public testimony, including Dorian Johnson, who they may trump up on perjury charges, which I would like to see that trial.
Yeah. No, there was obviously a lot of just people wanting to tell things that weren't true because they had an agenda.
But I've never heard if the prosecution can use this information. I guess because there was so much misinformation, I'm just not sure that I've ever seen a grand jury process like this.
Yeah, I think it's the way it works. And as far as you say there's no defense, that's not true. The prosecutor will present everything he or she knows in the grand jury. The prosecutor's not allowed to hide anything.
Right.
So
but the defense counsel is not allowed to present.
It's not a trial.
Yeah.
But the prosecutor is bound by law to present everything he or she knows. So if he knows something that may help an indictment or hurt an indictment, he has to present it. If it's going to make its way into trial, it better been presented in the grand jury proceeding.
So they've got to present all evidence. I was just surprised because, as far as I understand, the jury itself is the finder of fact. The grand jury they're the finder of preponderance of the evidence.
Right, and that's how this worked.
Okay, but that wasn't their instruction, which I was surprised.
What was their instruction?
Their instruction was you are the finder of fact. You are to separate fact from fiction.
Well,
that
that's
is
true.
Explicitly what the prosecuting attorney said.
Well, that's true. You determine if there's enough facts, if what everybody says is true, and that leads to preponderance of evidence that would lead to a trial. But I think it's a semantic thing.
But there was no cross-examinations or anything like that. Yeah.
There never is in a grand jury.
Right.
Well, I just thought it was a little
And
strange.
I read that normally, I don't know if there's actually interviews done by the actual, like Darren Wilson did the interview, and he was on the stand. I mean, is that what you even call it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they put him on at the beginning,
Right.
and I guess usually it's done at the end, and so they're mad about that too.
Who, CNN?
Well, everybody who thinks he should have been indicted.
What a disgraceful network.
It really is. That to me is one of the takeaways here is they found no person to tell the truth. So CNN completely failed in its editorial process or in its journalism process. A. B. The second big takeaway is so many black people who did know the truth were afraid to come out and say it because people in their community might hurt them.
And the idea that you're going to go and burn businesses and destroy businesses, that's just awful. You know, I've said this before on my old show, and I maybe even said it on this show, and you will not hear this on CNN. But there was more property damage done in New Orleans by looting after Hurricane Katrina than Hurricane Katrina itself.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And you'll never hear that. You know,
No.
it's all George Bush's fault.
Oh my gosh.
Literally people going through her stores in Hurricane Katrina after the storm, just taking everything, leaving nothing. That ended up causing more property damage than the storm itself.
It's an eye-opening experience each time you see people who think that they're victims try and right the system, even though they're not. Now, here's a question I have for you, and I don't know what kind of a question this is. You can judge for yourself. Every time the black community gets up in arms, you pointed out O.J. Trayvon Martin was, is that what his name was?
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, Michael Brown, they're just absolutely 100% dead wrong. Now, why do you think, and this goes to your point of there is racism, it's just not all that prevalent, the cases that they keep trying to cite as either we're going to right the ship with the O.J. trial or these two last very public cases, you know, I mean.
They're dead wrong in each isolated case, but the question is, are they dead wrong in their basic fundamental belief that the system is skewed against them? Because these cases you cited all, in their minds, are examples that they can't get a break.
Well, no, can they? My only hope here is that the 100% of people who, when OJ, got off erroneously, is that down to 70% or 60% or 50%? And each time they come up with a case that's wrong, because I saw a lot of people on the commenters, a lot of commenters on CNN, a lot of commenters all over the internet, many of whom were black, say, look, I thought Michael Brown might be right. I looked at the evidence. He was wrong. This is not a case of racism. Yeah. I get it. This is justice.
I don't know. I think that's probably changing. 97% of black Americans voted for Race Hustler, Barack Obama. That's all he is. So I don't know. Maybe they don't understand. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Well, can they change their opinion, I guess is my question. If they keep getting fed these obvious instances, Trayvon Martin beat George Zimmerman, and Michael Brown beat this police officer and then was rushing at him at the time that he was shot. He ended up dead 8 to 10, 12 feet away from the police officer. It's pretty clear here this is not an instance of racism. It's an instance of a 6'4" guy who thought he could take a cop.
Four players for St. Louis Rams yesterday, when they came on the field, they walked onto the field with their hands up. There's no.
So it still hasn't sunk into everybody. Still not. It's not enough of
It'd
the
be
population.
Interesting to see polling.
But you get fined if you pray.
629.
But you get fined if you pray.
629.
Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White.
An Iditarod musher from Matsu has withdrawn from the 2015 race after an accident. That story from Ann Kendon.
34-year-old Karen Hendrickson is recovering after being struck by an SUV that careened off the park's highway and into her ATV while she was doing a training run with 14 dogs. But the recovery won't be in time for the Iditarod in February. Hendrickson was said to be more concerned about her dogs after the accident, which broke her back and badly bruised her legs. Some other mushers in Matsu rushed to the accident scene to help find the dogs, who were not injured but were spooked by the crash and running around unattended. They're all okay now.
Finally, no significant damage was reported from a moderate earthquake felt at Anchorage in south central Alaska Friday evening. The quake, which hit at 7:14 p.m., had a magnitude of 4.8. That's your Hot Talk News update. Local weather is next.
For today, a thick cloud cover with a bit of snow in the afternoon with little or no accumulation. High 26. And a little snow tonight, which will accumulate according to an inch. Low 23. Snow showers tomorrow, accumulating an inch or two with considerable clouds throughout the day. Storm total snowfall amount 1 to 3 inches. High tomorrow 34. And a low tomorrow night of 22. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
You know, after a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today. And if you live in Anchorage, delivery is free. Wait, what did I just say? Delivery is free if you live in Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best Split Firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928 and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool. Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage.
This is Dr. Ellenberg. Are you tired of taking medications? Do your medications create more side effects than solutions? Do you want more than 15 minutes with your doctor? If you answer yes to those questions, you should consider calling the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine. At our center, we take the time to listen and focus on finding the cause of your health problems. Whether you have a cold, high blood pressure, diabetes, or cancer, we can help. Call the Ellenberg Center for Natural Medicine at 563-2366 or visit us online at drellenberg.com. We can help.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything, from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant. like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Do you remember that Beatles song? If the rain comes, they'll run and hide their heads. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, if that's you and you're inside your home or office, it's time to call Earhart Roofing. Call Earhart Roofing for all your roofing needs. Flat or pitched, large or small, Earhart Roofing will do the job quickly, and they'll do it right. Earhart Roofing, big enough to serve you and still small enough to care. Call 345-5555. That's 345-5555.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online KOAN.
.36 in the morning on Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT, streaming live on danfagan.us. Here's our telephone number. Write it down, memorize it. 569-1080, 569-1080. We'd love to hear from you this morning. If you're out and about on the roads and the highways and it's slippery or crowded or whatever, you've seen an accident, give us a call. We'll pass it on. 569-1080, 569-1080. We're talking about situation with Michael Brown. The guy was shot by a police officer in Florida, and many in the black community feel as though it was an injustice. If this had been a black police officer, this would be no big deal, right?
It's happened.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It has happened, definitely.
It has to have happened, yeah.
And actually, the white guy that was shot, it was even more...
cloudy?
Well, yeah, because he was not coming at the officer. He was just kind of running around. He hadn't made any, threatening gestures. He was high on drugs, naked, stuff like that, and was shot. And from a lot of people, what I've heard is that, well, why didn't he use a taser? Well, he didn't have one, first of all. But even if he had,
oh, you're talking about Michael Brown,
right? It wouldn't have been probably. It probably wouldn't have done any good, honestly, because they're not foolproof. He was a large man. There was so much adrenaline. I just feel so bad for police officers because they're so highly criticized, and I keep hearing people saying, "Well, Michael Brown was unarmed." Well, he wasn't. He'd already used his fists as a weapon, and I don't know. There are actual cases of racism, I'm sure, and this is not one of them. But I do have a heart for the racial tensions.
Well, there...
Because obviously it is an issue. I mean, look at the hurt.
But there's a lot of similarities here, and you look at the native culture in Alaska. A lot of people who live in, who embrace the Alaska native culture feel as though non-natives have wronged them. They've taken their state away from them. They've taken their culture away from them. They have no power themselves anymore. It's the same with a lot of African Americans in lower 48, especially in inner cities. They're not a part of culture, which white-dominated culture now. Hispanics, same thing in southwestern U.S. La Raza, this group that wants to basically return Mexico to the United States, or return the United States to Mexico. And so there's this disenfranchisement, the spirit of disenfranchisement that is very predominant in a lot of minority cultures. And it's kind of ironic because, we're becoming a non-white nation. We have a black president. We're not really a white nation anymore. But yet things seem to be getting worse. As the minorities are progressing in our culture and are able to do more economically with their futures, it seems as though the tension is still continuing to rise.
Well, I get the same sense from the environmental community. that as our businesses adopt more and higher and more strict environmental standards, that their speech and their actions become more and more frantic. I get the same. So the race difficulties, same thing. We did have a real problem, apparently, in other places in the country. I never experienced it here in Alaska. But obviously there are lots of television shows and footage and all kinds of things of just horrible things, horrible ways people of different races were treated. In large measure, that's a matter of the past. And in some cases, the tables have really turned in that if you have equivalent education, equivalent skills, equivalent experience, they will always hire a black person before a white person at this point. That's just the way things are. Not always, but in many cases, that's the way things are. So, but I get the sense that these people who really are the victim, that they sell victimization and victimhood, they have a less and less purpose. We have a black president. Who was the person who you said that the reporter was asking him, what do you think about the black Fishburne or
No, it was Shawshank Redemption. The guy, he is, Brian, the guy with the great voice, Morgan Freeman. Yeah, Morgan Freeman was asked by a black anchor at CNN, do you think black people are discriminated against and don't have a chance to get ahead in America today? And Morgan Freeman kind of stuck his head back and goes, are you kidding me? Are you really asking me that? Look at us. We're on TV right now. It was just such a ridiculous question.
Yeah, we're multimillionaires,
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I do think as their purpose gets more and more hazy, their words get more and more frantic because, this is the way that they have established their importance in life, is to tell people, you're a victim. You need me. You don't need America. You don't need justice or skills. You don't need to be responsible, go get an education. You just need me, and I will make you a victim, and in that victimhood, you will feel justified.
Now, here's the thing, because this is interesting. You left out an example. It's our oil crowd. They roll with the same punches. It's our oil crowd. It's a victimization group. We are victims of the rich, evil oil industry. So you're right. Environmentalists, Hispanics, Native Alaskans, African Americans, it's our oil crowd. That message, it's such a destructive message.
You don't find a difference, though, between the native culture and people who are proponents of native culture and people in the black community,
as far as their belief and message?
Well, as in the idea that there was no black culture necessarily, and certainly nobody's preventing people from living a black culture if that's what it is that they want, other than maybe a gang culture. There's white gangs and black gangs. I'm not really sure what they would be protecting. Those are people who are saying, you're not really members of America. You are not participating in the dream of America. So the scenario, as you set it up, was here you have people who are supposedly spokespeople for the black community.
Okay.
And these are people who are kind of losing their purpose.
These people, you talking about black folks?
The people who are speaking for the black
the race baiters.
The race baiters.
Okay.
Yeah. They're essentially losing their purpose, and that in these movements, like the black victimization movement, that's losing its power. It's losing its purpose. It's just not true anymore.
So you were talking about the black culture before, and
so let's move that into the native culture, though. Native culture really is going away. The subsistence, the traditional, the collective, the community-based, that stuff is largely going away. Most people are moving into towns. They can't afford to live out in the bush anymore. They can't afford to subsist. They don't know how to subsist. Their culture really is going away in large measure, and so I think there's a different scenario between the race baiters, the people who are trying to say black people are not part of the American experience, and native culture is really struggling in order to try and survive in a modern world.
Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT, 569-1080 is our number. Time currently 6:44. 569-1080 is our number. Time currently 6:40.
just sit there. Give them a call. 569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska king crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra large golden king crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in a styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y.
Hi, this is Brian Stan. I was a Marine Corps officer before becoming a UFC fighter. Military experience can add greatly to your life, as it has mine. The Air Force Reserve offers many part-time jobs in Alaska, which will allow you to continue your civilian career at the same time. You will receive excellent training, educational assistance, and many other benefits. Join an outstanding team in the Air Force Reserve. For more information on the Air Force Reserve, go to afreserve.com.
This message is sponsored by the Air Force Reserve and aired by the Alaska Broadcasters Association and this local station.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
All right, welcome back. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron on KOAN, KVNT. That's the number that's the stations we're broadcasting on. We're also streaming video and audio on danfagan.us. And, of course, we are taking phone calls, 569-1080, 569-1080. I want to just we're talking about the Michael Brown thing and the clash of cultures and how there's this victimization. I'm a victim. I can't succeed. I'm oppressed mentality that runs through all of these culture clashes, whether it's Native Americans, Native Alaskans, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, the It's Our Oil crowd, whatever I'm a victim, I can't get ahead kind of thing, I'm being taken advantage of mentality. And that's just so sad. It's such a destructive message. If we're going to do a report card, then I'll ask you this, Bonnie, on whether or not that message is gaining strength or losing strength. What would you say?
I don't know. I mean, maybe a C, but that's from my perspective. You know, I feel like being raised here in Alaska, I've been very protected from, I was raised in a private school, and I've been very shielded from anything that went on and people might experience in their day-to-day life. Now, down in the South, from what I've been reading, and not just the South, but the lower 48, really, racism is still alive and well. And I just think here it hasn't touched us as much. So I think that's my perspective. But, from the last 20 or 30 years, and, I've been alive for almost 37, it seems like that's just how those cultures have been raised. The Native culture, the Black culture, even Spanish, Mexican, whatever. I think that's all they know, and the government has made them dependent on it. And I don't know. I don't know if it will get any better, because for as long as we keep providing things for them, and I don't know. Maybe that's just my shielded perspective.
That transitions me into Brad Keithley.
Really?
Who I've decided is now my new favorite Alaskan.
Oh, wow.
Because every syllable that comes out of his mouth is the world's about to end. And not in 10 minutes, in 5.
Okay.
I mean, this guy is painting a picture that, we're all going to be walking around in diapers because that's all we can afford. We're going to be on
Pretty
mules.
dire scenario.
We're going to be riding on mules with potted pants clanking on the side. And I'll tell you what.
So he's your new friend?
He's my new hero.
All right. I like this.
Because Bonnie nailed it. As long as we keep giving people free stuff, they're going to keep believing their victim. We got to starve the beast. We got to starve the beast.
Or, as I would say, we have to take personal responsibility. We have to take care of the person who's in need, who's right next to us.
Those of us ourselves in the community.
Exactly.
But if the state doesn't, if someone at the working dispatch for the Anchorage Police Department has to take a pay cut from $240,000 to $180,000 a year, you know what? I think that person will be okay.
The world may not end.
I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, my guess.
And not just taking personal responsibility, place it where it should be. That's what's going on too from all these, CNN, they're still grasping at straws, trying to make sense of this. They're saying, oh, the prosecutor did this, and now they're going after a autopsy assistant. Have you seen that?
No, they're going to keep pushing. Look, CNN.
They're trying to say, we were right,
Their entire credibility is completely on the line here.
Such a despicable organization.
Look, they did not find a single person who would tell the truth. They obviously encouraged people not to tell the truth, and people started following their narrative of this, which was 100% false. They are a purveyor of falsehood, not truth. There's no reason to watch CNN here at all anymore.
But they got it out there, and that's what's important.
Yeah, but
they got the first part out.
So they probably had a bump as a result of this.
Yes, like 5-6 million people watched CNN on the day that they announced the verdict. So people are still tuning into them.
Yeah. Well, it'd be mostly leftists who are.
Well, what I hate about it, Dan, is it's in things like airports and places like that, or businesses where, well, we want to be fair and balanced. Look, if you're a business and you've got CNN on, you're not fair and balanced at all. You need to go to One America Network, Fox News. There's so much better.
Go to Kreiner's Diner, you'll see Fox News glaring.
We were in an airport recently, and Fox News was on, and this lady was having a fit. She was just having a fit. I can't believe I'm being forced to watch this. And she actually went up to him and made him change the channel.
Really?
Yeah, she was like,
you need to go up there and make them change the channel back
to CNN.
But back to the starving the beast thing.
Yes.
So let's say that the price of oil goes down to $60 a barrel. And let's say, okay, we got to make some tough decisions. There's no fat to cut on this meat, on the steak.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me? The steak's 80% fat. So we don't pay our government employees 35% more than what the private sector makes. So we don't let you, fly in from
Bethel
to Bethel and do a shopping trip and pretend like you got a headache and we'll cover everything.
Yeah.
So we start acting sensibly. Is that really going to be the end of the world?
Well, people are going to find out that it's not, Dan. And the great thing about it is those people are going to be made better. The people who administer these programs are going to be made better. Yeah. We are going to be able to trust our government more. This is a win, 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 win. The only people who are going to suffer are people who are going to have to change. And change is a painful process. People in government, people who depend on government, people who rely on government, people who want to ignore problems in our society, they'll have to change too.
Well, you said previously on the show that, because I always thought leftists thought government was God, and it's not really that. They see government as a conduit or as their gods, and the government is their the way they rule and reign. And that's what Keithley, everything he talks about is state government must. If state government is to survive, I don't care about state government. I don't care about state government.
They don't do nothing for you.
All I care about is jobs for families. And if we got to pump a few less $1 billion into state government coffers, as long as we don't lose jobs, I don't care. It's not about state government coffers. But that's what the left's obsessed with.
Yeah. Did you read Amanda Coyne's piece today where she was covering the drop in oil prices and Brad Keithley was going back and forth with a whole bunch of different people?
Right.
And one guy even said, he came out and literally said, if this doesn't mean more money to the state government, it makes no difference at all. Can you imagine a communist coming out and just admitting, I don't care about your job. I don't care about your family. I don't care whether you can raise your own children. All I care about, the only thing that matters, the only thing that makes a difference in Alaska is our state government. People are going to have to get used to people making that claim. And what this is my goal here for the next little while, is to get our legislators, we still have conservative legislators, to put forth and lead charges where the population of Alaska gets to decide whether they want to give up their paycheck or whether they want government to remain as large as it is or even smaller. That's what I want. That's my whole push here from here on out, is people need to make the decision, and I think they'll make the decision you made, Dan, which is, you know what? My job is more important than raising taxes to force business to close down. That's more important to me. I don't really care what the government does. I'm not all that interested in that. Government's minor for me. Jobs are important.
Government employees aren't going to make that decision.
Well, there'll have to be a lot of people turn out, and then there's going to be this tug of war that goes on.
It's good. If things go the way Keithley says they will, we're going to have a war between the private sector and the government sector.
Yes.
And we already saw how that worked out in Anchorage.
Well, Prop 1 was a war between the government sector and the private sector. A lot of people didn't know what the war was about, and they weren't sure what side they should be on because they weren't sure what the war was about.
Because everyone who works for the state government, everyone who works for the university system, everyone who works for the Anchorage city of Juneau, city of Fairbanks, what do they care about what's going on the North Slope? They're in their short-sighted mind.
Yes,
they don't understand that it will catch up to them. But right now, in the next 10 years, I'll at least have a job. Who cares if we have a 20-30% reduction in jobs on the North Slope? So if what happens is the price of oil goes down, and
well, it is down. It's dramatic if it stays down.
And Mr. Walker decides to go after the oil industry so he can keep paying his state employees and make Mr. Beltrami happy, then the private sector is going to take a major hit.
Now, he hasn't done that, by the way. Have you read some of the comments from Walker?
He's taken the job this morning. He's just hasn't started yet.
No, but he already said, I'm not looking to change the tax back to the way ACES was, because that would result in lower income at this level anyway. So,
and you being a good-natured person, take him at his word, and I appreciate that about you.
Yes. Well,
Bonnie and I are a little more cynical.
I'm going to take the words as they come, and that's basically what he said to date. Is I'm not looking to get more taxes out of the oil industry. This is going to have to be solved, at least in the first measure, by cutting government, reducing services.
So are you for the PFD going away if it helps the state?
Well, what I'm not for is...
What do you mean by going away?
An income tax.
Them taking it.
They give everybody I'm not for this. I'm not for them giving everybody a PFD and then taxing certain families $5,000 to get it all back, which is basically where we'll head.
That's what the Democrats want.
Yeah, no, that
they want an income tax so we can keep giving out free money.
Well, they want the income tax, and they want the PFD to go away, and they want the permanent fund, and they want the corpus of the permanent fund, and every bit of earnings, because, look, good things come from government, and if they don't have government services to dole out, then they won't have good things, and so that's their thought. It's a powerful thought. Look, I'm looking forward to the discussion and the debate. The one thing that needs to absolutely happen, and the best thing that can happen for the state, and what will be the greatest shock for public officials, is how little the state of Alaska cares what they do. If it comes down to my paycheck, my job versus your government service, frankly, that person's going to go at, this is my guess, is in a 60-40 way, Alaska will say, we want less government, we don't want you to take our paychecks, we don't want you to take our jobs. That's my guess, but it needs to be put before the people every time.
But do they say, we want less government, but go to the oil companies first, then we want less government?
If we go to the oil companies, I think most people learned in the last... I hope that taxing the oil companies will just run them out of the state, and then we won't have jobs, and we won't have any state. We won't have any income.
569-1080, 569-1080. We'd love to hear from you on this Monday morning.
Of course, you'll find us on the web, but more importantly, you can find Allure Day Spa and Hair Design downtown, corner of 5th and B.
Listen online at 1080 1080KOAN.com. Hot Talk 95.1 FM, 1080 AM. KOAN, Anchorage.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. It's not an order for U.S. troops, but a warning that ISIS terrorists may be trying to target them at home. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, a joint intelligence bulletin is urging service members to scrub their social media accounts of anything that could catch the attention of violent extremists or give them information about their identities. Federal law enforcement officials are concerned that ISIS may be trolling the internet for clues for ways to attack U.S. soldiers on the homeland. The bulletin, which went out last night, is the strongest warning yet about possible attacks on U.S. service members at home. Dave.
Rachel, the Supreme Court's hearing an appeal from a Pennsylvania man who got nearly 4 years in prison for violent posts on Facebook, threatening to kill his estranged girlfriend and shoot up a school. He claims it was protected free speech.
The jury convicted him on a number of counts under a federal law that bans threats. And so he's challenged that. He has said it was a form of therapy for him, that he was essentially writing out rap lyrics on his Facebook page, and that if he is shut down, that essentially it's going to stop his First Amendment rights.
Fox's Shannon Bream outside the Supreme Court. On Wall Street, selling starts December. The Dow's down 63. The Nasdaq's dropping 64. The anger over what happened in Missouri simmers.
What do we want?
That's a protest in Washington, D.C. Today, activists want Americans to walk off the job or out of school over a grand jury's decision not to indict the white Ferguson police officer who killed a black teen. In St. Louis, the Police Officers Association is angry, calling tasteless and inflammatory the gesture by Rams football players who ran onto the field yesterday with their hands up.
We want to show that we're over here for a great cause. I mean, something positive comes out of it.
The officers want Kenny Britt and the other players disciplined and the NFL to apologize. A town once embarrassed by its scrawny Christmas tree, called a Charlie Brown tree, is now embracing it. Reading, Pennsylvania will decorate it Saturday with a single red bulb, and then December 20th have a Charlie Brown Day festival to spruce up the tree. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This holiday season, a lot of jewelry stores are talking about value and quality, but talk is cheap. At Hellsberg Diamonds, we actually show you what real value and quality mean. With our remarkable asset device, you can see for yourself how and why a diamond sparkles the way it does. Join us as we celebrate 100 years of love with exceptional quality and extraordinary value. Hellsberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Attention men, are you urinating often, waking at night to urinate? We want to send you a free bottle of Super Beta Prostate, made with a natural ingredient that supports healthy urine flow, bladder emptying, and is shown to reduce waking at night from the urge to urinate. You can try Super Beta Prostate free, only pay shipping and handling. This free giveaway is available while supplies last. For details, just call 800-268-8137. That's 800-268-8137. Call 800-268-8137.
You know, after a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
Mark your calendars. It's time for the 15th annual Guns N' Hoses charity hockey game, where Anchorage Fire and Police face off against Alaska's military at the Sullivan Arena. Cheer on Alaska's finest. Sunday, December 7th. There will be tons of fun for the whole family. Free pony rides and face painting. Visit with Santa and see the holiday fire truck. Say hi to Star the reindeer. Shoot to win a new car. The puck drops at 4. Come on down to the Sullivan Arena. Sunday, December 7th at 4. And cheer on your favorite team.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, oh, an Olympic gymnast.
You can go your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth. Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years. I get scared at the dentist. Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley. I know it's important to have good dental health, and you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
Hot Talk KOAN, man.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
Well, good morning to you on this Monday, December 1st. New month, new work week. And in about 30 days, we're going to have a brand new year. 6 minutes past 7 o'clock. Dan Fagan here, Glen Biegel right over there, and Bonnie Cameron over there. We're broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT. Also, we're streaming live, audio, video, danfagan.us. Here's the number. We'd love to hear from you this morning. 569-1080. 569-1080. That's the number.
Confession time.
Oh boy.
So, last week, Glenn asked me if I was going to go Black Friday shopping. And I was like, no, you'll never see me around there. You'll never see me Black Friday shopping. Well, not only did I go Black Friday shopping, I went hanging my head Thanksgiving Thursday shopping.
You didn't. All right.
I went out to the valley for Thanksgiving dinner and had a really good time with some family or with some friends. And I was heading back to Anchorage with my kids, and we were driving by Walmart in Wasilla. And it was packed. The parking lot was overflowing, and there was lines of cars going in. And my son said, I've never experienced Black Friday or, whatever, Thanksgiving, Thursday shopping. And I'd like to do that sometime. And I was like, well, let's go in there, and I'll just show you how crazy these people are.
Were they?
And so we went in there.
They were, just like Spunny was.
And they were lined up all the way to the garden center. Almost every one of them had a TV in their shopping carts. And then I couldn't stand it, and I ended up buying a $98 32-inch TV.
Wow.
Just like the rest of them. I could not help myself.
32-inch TV for $98?
Yep.
That is incredible.
I could not help myself.
Is it color?
Yes. But it didn't say if it was 720 or 1080. I think is it just assumed that it's 720 now?
It only gets PBS.
It said HD.
HD. It's probably 720.
Well, and I got a $45 Blu-ray DVD player.
$45.
Well, I needed
Nice.
a DVD
Yes,
player.
need.
So.
Well, good for you.
Well, and the kids
Participate.
were having fun, and
All right.
we just joined in on all the chaos. So.
Was
and
it
then
real
we went
crowded?
again Friday. Oh yeah, it was crazy crowded, and then I ended up paying tax in Wasilla, but it's a really good
1.5%
Walmart.
tax.
It's your buddy Sarah Palin gave you that.
Yeah.
That's right.
It
So
was a lot of fun.
Well, I had a life-changing experience.
Oh, good.
I had
About time.
I had no. This may shock everyone. I had no mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving.
Gasp.
Why?
Sweet potatoes?
No, actually, I don't like sweet potatoes. Not my deal. I just had stuffing and gravy. I don't even need the mashed
You
potatoes
didn't even
anymore.
have turkey?
I did have turkey, but I had no mashed potatoes. It was totally new.
Because you just weren't hungry? Or?
I've never not had mashed potatoes.
It wasn't a...
Well,
Your wife made mashed potatoes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just did not partake.
Yeah, and there was huge servings of it all over the place, but I had filled up my plate before the time that the mashed potatoes rotated around with so much stuffing anyway. I was like, I'm just going to go with that. I want to see how it goes.
So not even leftovers.
It was
You didn't even...
Nope.
try and leftovers.
You still have leftovers?
Totally went without. Yeah.
Now, my theory on your sweet potato disliking is that you have not put enough brown sugar and marshmallows and cinnamon all over the top of it.
I never liked the taste.
My grandmother on my mother's side used to make sweet potatoes that frankly make you want to slap your grandmother. It was so good.
Lots of butter.
Oh, yeah.
Real butter.
Her best meal, or her best thing that she cooked, was green beans in which she would cook in butter and bacon grease.
Oh, yes.
So and they were fresh from the garden.
I didn't know you could really cook other things in bacon grease other than bacon until I married a man from the South. And he made his fried eggs in grease. And then, would put the grease over the eggs over the top to cook them.
Well, I like to have a glass of bacon grease every morning when I get up. First thing, I gargle with it.
Bacon.
Bacon.
Anyway, there's my confession.
All right, and my life-changing
I had to get that off my chest.
Why do people go crazy? Because you see these stories in the lower 48 where people are, fighting and there's police. And what's that all about? It's to save $50 or what?
I don't know. It's a good deal. It's a high. You get a high when you're the one to get that good deal, and if there's no more left, they fight over them. Well, in Fred Meyer, I noticed in their Black Friday ad, they said, there was this really good price on, say, a TV or a laptop, and they said, while supplies of 10 last. So only the first 10 people to get that item got the good deal. I mean, if that won't cause a frenzy, I don't know what will. Why even print the ad for 10 of them?
So it's a scam? There aren't really that many good deals?
No, I think that there was only 10 of them, and that's what got people in the door.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll just have 10 or so of the most amazing deals. I think Walmart went different. They ended up with like 100 of each of the different kinds of TVs that they were selling.
Was lots more than that.
Yeah, so maybe there were hundreds. So they kind of changed their model, and I think most other people are losing money on each one that they sell of the 10, but they're expecting that you're going to buy something else.
Yes.
Well, Christmas became such a much more pleasurable experience for me once my family transitioned to the bag wrap. Where you just put something in a bag with the little handles on the top. It's a fancy bag.
Very easy.
Still put a bow on it. Still put the name tag. Because I am physically incapable of wrapping a present. It's one of the first stories I ever did as a news reporter in Beaumont, Texas. I went to a wrapping department at Dillard's, and they had a gal there who would make these presents look so glorious.
Yeah.
And then I wrapped one like next to her, and that was the story. And it was so funny because mine looked like a hurricane, and hers because I can't do it. I have no grace. I have no touch.
Honestly,
I know.
It is.
Right, but it was so frustrating because I'd do all my Christmas shopping, and then the last thing I had to do was find someone who'd wrap all my gifts. Oh yeah, we can get those to you. We'll have them, by the 3rd of January. And so it was so frustrating for me. But then once we transitioned, we just put them in a bag. Oh yeah, I can do that, and put a bow on it, and it's just much easier.
Did you need buy-in from other people? Because this is my guess, Bonnie, before he answers my question, that Dan transitioned to the bag, and then everyone else
probably.
Did you invent the bag?
I probably did.
They're like, look, I'm not trying to wrap your gifts. I give up. Now, and if you want your gift wrapped, frankly, you can go shove it and take Christmas and forget it. That's what Dan said, and then you just put it in a bag.
Do you put all the tissue paper and stuff in there to make it pretty?
Yeah, I can. No, well, I mean,
you can buy tissue paper.
I can put tissue paper in a bag.
He's a fancy person.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful thing Christmas morning, opening presents. Especially, we don't have kids in our family anymore. I mean, I guess my niece now is 15 or 14. She's the youngest, and it's not like it used to be. But we used to have all the little nieces and nephews. It was just so much fun.
Oh yeah.
You still have all that at your house?
Oh, it's nuts. Absolutely bananas.
Now, do you already have your Christmas tree up?
No, we do things a little differently. We will put our Christmas tree up on Christmas Eve.
Really? Because that's funny.
At 6 p.m.
The family that lived across the street from us that had 9 kids did the same thing.
Yeah. No, this is very strange, and it's kind of a new Catholic tradition. But the 12 days of Christmas actually happen after Christ's birth, and that's when the wise men are on their journey. And then on January 6th, you essentially have the end of the Christmas season for us.
They did the same thing. That's funny. All right, 569-1080, 569-1080, 714. 714.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel. Give him a call, 569-1080, KOAN.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to never be asked, what would you like for...
At Amana, the Million Air heat exchanger found in all our gas furnaces is living up to its name and then some. The Million Air recently surpassed the 2 million cycle mark in our test facility, and it's still going strong. In fact, we're so confident in its reliability, Amana offers a lifetime unit replacement limited warranty to the original registered homeowner if the heat exchanger ever fails for as long as they own the home. For information on the Million Air warranty, contact Kinnick Heating LLC, your authorized Amana dealer. Amana lasts and lasts and lasts. Your local Amana experts are Kinnick Heating LLC. Stay warm, shop smart, shop local. Choose the Amana experts right here in the Matsu. Look at the mountaintops.
Push, dare, high five, fist bump. You own your own business. You put it all on the line every day. And you celebrate your successes. So maybe it's time to really push the envelope. Rev that business engine. It's time for Valpak. The famous blue envelope with an 87% open rate and one of the highest ROIs of any marketing program. In the mail, online, on the phone.
To find out how to push your business to the next level of success, call Valpak at 346-1814. Valpak 346-1814.
Trail Boss Solutions is an Alaskan-owned, nationally recognized top 500 construction and remodel firm. From our handyman services to our award-winning kitchen design and remodel, Trail Boss Solutions is fully licensed, bonded, and insured, and has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion on time and on budget. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions Direct at 646-1403.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 10. 0821. You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT 92.
I don't do nothing at all. You wanted to play some cards. There was a game in the back.
7:17 in the morning here on the December 1st edition of the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Bonnie Cameron Show on KOAN. KVNT, our number 569-1080, 569-1080. Don't forget about our good friend Keith Montauk over there at Specialty Truck and Auto. He's a mechanic you can trust. His team is the very best in the state. You're going to save money. You're going to get great value for your repair dollar. Specialty Truck and Auto, that's the place to go. Right there on the Lower Hillside, right across the street from the Long Branch Saloon off of Abbott. We all need a trustworthy mechanic. He's your guy. Here's his number. 349-1637. 349-1637. Keith Montauk, Specialty Truck and Auto. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day this country will return to the country that it once was, where individualism, self-reliance, trusting each other, treating each other as neighbors, caring about each other, helping each other who are in need of help, that we're going to return to that. In this day of liberalism and leftism that has so permeated our culture via Hollywood, via the public education system, will be rejected. And you look at this little story, which is just a little microcosm of what's going on in our country. New rules for Alaska handymen begin next year here in Anchorage. And, you know, look, I understand the Alaska State Home Builders Association. They don't want more competition. Why would you? Why would you want more handymen out there? If you can pass legislation that would limit the amount of competition, why wouldn't you go to Liesel McGuire and say, hey, come on, man, help me out. Help a brother out.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they saying? They want them to be more trained and go to more classes and be certified and licensed? More of them. All that?
That's what they want.
But is that what they're trying to do?
I don't
is that
care
what
what they're saying. It's obvious what they're doing. It's like the taxi cab drivers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want Brian driving around with his Uber app picking up people that they can be picking up. They want less competition. And they're doing it under the guise of we want people to be safe. You can't trust an Uber driver. You can't trust a handyman unless he has some piece of paper from the state. Really? That's going to make a handyman more reliable because he's got some piece of paper from the state?
Who put that legislation into effect?
It doesn't say, and I don't have any legislators' names. But that, you just go look at here's what you do. You go find out who the Alaska State Home Builders Association sponsored and gave most money to, and that'll probably be the lawmakers that sponsored the bill. That's how it works today. That's the racket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go to the government, say, hey, government, protect me. Oh, you need to protect people. It just so happens that this will benefit me, but we're going to make the case that you're protecting the people.
It's so disingenuous.
It's so unnecessary. It's such a waste of time. Honestly, if your handyman comes in and breaks your stuff, you can sue him already. The fact of whether or not he's got insurance or bonded, licensed, bonded, and insured, none of that stuff's going to make any difference. If somebody comes in and breaks your stuff, you can sue them in small claims court one way or the other.
I have a huge library of books. I got a lot of books. I read a lot. I don't read as many books as I used to, but I have a ton of books. So I just went out to Costco, and I bought 4 of these $250 top-of-the-line bookcases. I mean, these were, you had the little lights on them, top of the line. You'd spend 3 times that at a regular furniture store. It would have taken me 17 years to assemble those. I am not kidding.
Yep.
So I had a handyman come up to my house, and he spent about 4 hours, and he assembled all 4 of them. And when you look at them all together, it looks like I spent $20,000 renovating my living room.
Nice.
Because of these bookstores. This guy was great. I paid him like $500. And he was great. He was thrilled to have the $500. That's 17 years of my life, I say.
And they got done correctly.
And they're rock solid.
Yeah.
What business is it of the Alaska State Home Builders Association, of me, and you know what I did? I Googled this guy. I Googled repairman. There are reviews there online.
Mm-hmm.
People who have used them before.
Yes. In this day and age, you can find out if somebody's worth their weight.
You don't need Liesl McGuire and the Alaska Home Builders Association protecting us.
You think we could get this undone? They're going to spend money, and they're going to have a bigger voice than we are.
They have lobbyists now.
They got lobbyists. It is so hard. I think, though, that if they were here in town, we'd have such a easier time, because we could go down there and lobby them themselves, or we could have groups of people parade outside with signs that say, we're handymen and we don't need your help. Right? We don't need the government to do a job. Get out of our lives. Leave us alone.
Well, and isn't that kind of condescending anymore, even to say handyman?
Is it?
I mean, I think they do that on purpose. I wonder if they're calling them handyman. The Alaska State Home Builders Association sounds so good and incredible. But it's true. Go on Facebook, go on any social media and say, I need a guy to do my plumbing or lay some floor for me this weekend. And you'll get all kinds of suggestions from people saying, I like this guy, I use this guy, don't go here, don't go there. They obviously don't trust the free market to work. It's just another example.
Another example. You started out that segment, by the way, by saying that you're looking forward to a time when, we talk to our neighbor, when we trust each other, when we work together. I'm not waiting, by the way, for the rest of society to change.
Yeah.
I live my life that way.
Well, we'll lead the charge.
Yeah. And so and people shouldn't. The idea that we have to wait for all of society to make a decision is such a wrong-headed notion. Yes. Just change your own life. Start trusting people. Start working with your neighbors. Start doing the right thing. So.
And the idea, because most people, if they don't avail themselves of venues that promote conservative thought, the idea that most people who read this article in the Dispatch, the Alaska State Home Builders Association wants to protect everybody, they'll just say, oh, what a wonderful organization.
Yeah, it sounds so good.
Wasn't it written, though, from that point of view? I mean, basically everybody that they interview,
well, of course,
it was written to the positive.
Well, of course.
They didn't interview anybody who, like an average person who goes out and gets a handyman and says, I don't need the government in the middle of my handyman transaction, of which I have about 10 or 15 a year.
Right.
So stay out of my business.
Yeah.
I know who's good, and I don't need you to license them or bond them or insure them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the left's it's government's always the answer. Government should always be the overseer and the protector of the public. And so, to anytime we're talking about businesses now, we're not talking about the Greenpeace. We're talking about the Home Builders Association trying to muscle out competition.
So they're acting as a union.
They are. Before we jump all over the AFL-CIO and Greenpeace and Planned Parenthood and all the normal foes of freedom, I got news for you.
Here they are. Yeah, and they did it without actually even forming a union. They just went to the government and said,
"We saw
you license somebody to be in our organization before they can do any work and compete against us."
We saw it with the big three hospitals, Providence, Alaska Regional, and I guess it was the Native Hospital. I don't know if it was, maybe it was just Providence, Alaska Regional, when they got Ralph Samuels to push through the legislature the certificate of need. That if you wanted to open up some kind of imaging center or some kind of a business where you used advanced medical devices to treat people, you had to come up with a certificate of need to prove that it was needed in the community. Well, guess what? Let me open up. I'll prove it's needed.
Yeah, I'm going to put
And
my
if
millions
it's not,
of
I'll go out
dollars.
of business.
But
Yeah,
this is
and
another
basically
example.
it was a limitation on competition.
Yes.
For the large hospitals.
Yes.
Because they wanted to centralize the power to these large
They
hospitals.
want to charge $400.
That's not a legitimate function of government to allow the hospitals to have a monopoly over imaging. It just isn't.
Yeah, but if they can charge $400 because they're the only game in town.
4,000. Let me just update your numbers.
Right.
You're right. $400 won't even get you in the door. But you're right. But this is happening. Everybody's getting in. Here's the bottom line, Bonnie and Glenn. Everybody's getting in on the game. Government is this big, fat, Jabba the Hutt monster, and it has $100 bills seeping out of every pocket, and everybody wants some of it.
Yeah, why do you think people want to go for government jobs now?
Sure.
Because that's where the benefits are.
It's all centralized.
Mm-hmm.
All the wealth in this country is becoming umbrellaed under government, and everybody's trying to figure out how to get their cut. It used to just be, the picture of welfare abuse was the welfare mom. Excuse me. The picture of government abuse was the welfare mom with 10 kids. She's the exception now. You've got corporations, businesses. Everybody wants a cut.
I want a cut.
How long is that sustainable?
How do I get a cut?
Nonprofits. Nonprofits is now the number one venue for government waste.
Yeah, because the government, for people out there, there are some nonprofits that don't get essentially anything from the government. All they get is a tax break, and that's very appropriate because we don't want government to stop people from being fed by a religious organization. But there are a lot of nonprofits who essentially employ people. They go out and they get grants, and their job is to funnel money into false, fake programs, and that does largely happen. Alaska Native Health Trust, or ANTC, Tribal Consortium. That's what it is. That's a good example where essentially they take 100% of the government money, 90% of it gets used up in the organization, and 10% of it gets turned into services. Well, that's just not acceptable. It can't continue. Look, Dan, I think we're looking forward to in the coming years where we're going to divest ourselves from the idea that people are okay if they go and ask government to continue their monopoly or give them a monopoly or give them a leg up or give them protection against competition. This Uber thing that you're seeing is pervasive. We have the internet. We can find out who's good. We don't need the government to license, bond, and insure people. If we want to sue someone for damages, well, frankly, dude, we can go sue them for damages, or we don't have to pay them. I mean, there's another good option for us. There are lots of things you can do, and we don't need government to mitigate the circumstances of it. It's a new day.
Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT. Time currently 7:29. What is the Matsu resource?
Call the Star Registry 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for the gift that shines forever.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. Alaska gets a new governor today. Bill Walker will be sworn in at the state capitol. Alaska Airlines added flights to Juneau to accommodate people going to the ceremony. Walker is the 11th governor of Alaska and the first independent. The Matsu Borough Assembly has delayed a decision about sweeping changes to its power plant approval process. The ordinance under consideration would allow some projects to seek a conditional use permit, which would be easier to get than a power plant permit. The decision was put off until December 16th. Finally, the new trend of shopping on Thanksgiving Day seems to be taking off. Shopper Track reports shopping on Thursday was 24% higher than last year, despite various petitions and protests to try to keep stores closed. That's your Hot Talk News update.
For today, a thick cloud cover with a bit of snow in the afternoon with little or no accumulation. High 26. And a little snow tonight, which will accumulate according to an inch. Low 23. Snow showers tomorrow, accumulating an inch or two with considerable clouds throughout the day. Storm total snowfall amount 1 to 3 inches. High tomorrow 34. And a low tomorrow night of 22. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska king crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra large golden king crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in a styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything. From auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Here's my good friend, Keith Montronac.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call, 569-1080. KOAN.
All right, welcome back. 7:35, December 1st. How about that? New month. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron on KOAN, KVNT, broadcasting on those stations. Also streaming danfagan.us. I want to play a clip, Glenn and Bonnie, because we were talking about nonprofits and how the government is so exploding, and it's just this massive behemoth of waste and fraud and picking winners and losers. But the nonprofit sector is really exasperating this problem. And I did an interview with a guy named Marty Mativa once on my TV show. This is a couple years ago. He's with some group out in the valley, the Matsu Business Community Development Alliance, Muses, got like 10 names to it. They don't do jack.
Mm-hmm. Can we separate?
Because this is a long clip.
Well, okay, but I just want to separate. If by nonprofit, you're differentiating between charitable nonprofit or nonprofit that does not do charity work. They're essentially just funnels for money.
I'm not a fan of most nonprofits. Now, I like Alaska Catholic or Catholic Social Services would be a preference.
Yeah.
But these, like this guy supposedly, well, you'll hear it in the interview.
Salvation Army, things like that.
There's just no use for this guy or his organization. And all I'm trying to learn is, what do you do? So listen to this interview.
Okay.
What is the Matsu Resource Conservation and Development Council?
We're actually an unfunded federal program. That's what I like to joke about.
Okay.
So we don't get funding anymore, but we're still recognized.
And so you're a nonprofit organization.
Exactly. We're a nonprofit.
And how do you get your money if you don't get federal funding?
We get some state funding. We partner with other agencies. We get some private funding. We work with the borough.
How are you bringing economic development to the valley? Give us some examples.
A lot of the economic development, it's hard to say how do you create economic development. I think it's how do you encourage it and keep it moving. Is a lot of the things a lot of economic development organizations end up doing.
But if you're getting government money for economic development, it seems like you should be able to give us some examples of here's some things we've done. How can you prevent a business from going out of business?
Well, if you ask them what their challenges are, if they need training, if they need better staff training, workforce development, and then we go out and you build implementable plans because of this. That's the key part. It's not just writing the strategy.
So putting the program in place. Wouldn't these entrepreneurs have a plan themselves to run their business and be successful? Why would they need you to come in and tell them how to run their business?
I'm not trying to tell them how to run their business.
How to not go out of business?
I'm finding out what they need, what their needs are. That's
they know what they need. Why do they need you to know what they need?
Then I try and go out and help them find the funding for it or connect them to the right partner.
Does the Chamber of Commerce take government money?
No.
Okay.
That's all membership.
Okay. And of course, Matsu Business Alliance, they don't take government money.
That's all membership.
Right.
Yeah.
So why do we have your organization? Well, if there are other organizations out there that don't need to take taxpayer money to help provide help to businesses, why do we need a taxpayer-funded organization?
If we are that liaison to be able to go out and connect them with, if it's the private sector or the public sector.
But why do we need taxpayer money for that?
We are that liaison. I don't think you could do it with private sector. Now we don't. Remember, we also have private sector members to support us.
But why couldn't you do it with private sector business?
I don't believe that we have the support right now from the private sector to just do something like this. In a perfect world, Dan, I would agree with you 100%.
Well, then isn't that proof that you're not needed? Because if you were needed, the private sector would support you. So my point is, doesn't that prove that your organization is not needed because
actually I would disagree.
It's not self-sustaining?
I would disagree with you that it's not needed. Well, there are so many organizations.
It may be helpful.
Yeah.
But if it's not self-sustaining, why should taxpayers have to undergird it when there are so many other organizations doing what you're doing?
I don't believe there are that many organizations doing what we're doing. Because another layer of what we do is we help other organizations try and find funding that they can't tap, that they can't
get more taxpayer money.
If it's maybe taxpayer money, maybe it isn't taxpayer money. Maybe it's private sector money through a foundation. So we tap those.
Last week, and I don't mean to put this all on you.
Yes, you do.
But we just hit $16 trillion in debt.
I know.
Somebody somewhere is going to have to stand up and say, okay, this is just not necessary.
I think the ARDR program, because remember, we don't get any federal funding anymore. Okay, that's gone. And all it really was, the federal funding that RC&D's got, were room and board. We had an office.
So you get zero federal funding.
Zero federal funding.
You get all just state funding.
State and private funding.
Okay, but does any of that state money, is that federal grants funneled through the state?
No, that's state. That little bit that I get is from the state.
Well, you get 60% of your
60,000 what I get from the state.
Well, I thought you said 60% of your funding was from the government.
Well, then there's other. If I go out and I get a grant, but
yeah,
you got to remember
but those are federal grants.
And that goes right back in the community.
But that's federal funding.
Okay, federal funding.
So you do get federal funding. So you are adding to the deficit.
No, I don't believe about that.
Well, if you get money from the federal government and then you spend it, that's not adding to the deficit.
Okay, you got me.
Okay, so 60% of what you get is from the government, either state or federal.
Some type of funding, exactly right.
And 40% of what you get is from private contributors.
Probably that's right.
Why not live within the private contributors? Why not tailor your business within that 40% that you get from the private sector? And that way you don't have to take taxpayer money.
And I understand what you're saying, and I would love to be able to do that. Trust me. Maybe my thinking is a little skewed, but if I'm not helping someone secure funding for their project, be it from a foundation or a federal grant that's out there, and I know that that's going to go in the community and help a private sector job or a private sector company create a job or have work. Is it better for me not to leave that money on the table and have someone down in lower 48 get it? Or would it be better for us to get that knowing it's going to be put back in the community? That's probably how I justify it.
But you understand the big picture flaw of that logic.
Yeah.
Because if everyone adopted that mentality, well, they do, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
If I don't get it, somebody else will, so I better get mine. And we've got 16 trillion in debt.
Yeah, I look at it, Dan, as if I don't help this guy help with his business, will he go out of business? I'm not the one that's creating the programs.
But you're facilitating them. I understand that.
I don't know.
Well, you're the middle guy. Yeah. You're funneling the money.
I'm helping. The way I look at it is,
you're not helping anybody. Taxpayers are helping.
Yeah. I'm just helping someone get the funding.
Well, no, you're not helping anybody. You're taking somebody else's money and giving it to the business guy. It's not your checkbook.
No, you're right. It isn't my checkbook.
Yeah. Now you see how, in defense of Marty Mativa, he honestly didn't think this through. He honestly thinks he's helping by taking a family down the street's money and giving it to a business. He honestly did not think the thing through. Fair?
It's free money.
It's free.
It's federal money.
If we don't get it, somebody else will get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the argument, by the way, that's made just dramatically, all across the whole country. It's the argument that's being made right now by our governor, right?
With the
Which
Medicaid.
governor?
Medicaid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right? Medicaid, essentially, it's money that's already being borrowed on behalf of our kids.
Yeah.
And so the government's going to give it out, and they're not going to give it to Alaska, and we don't have to give any quote of our money because our kids are going to be putting this, on their future responsibility. But it is a direct, essentially an indirect tax on the children of Alaska with no benefit. Total immoral situation.
744.
Tax on the children of Alaska with no benefit. Total immoral situation.
744.
727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000
Jansen's Eagle River Funeral Home or Jansen's Alaska Cremation Center, where, just like family, we're there when you need us.
It's the holidays, and for the U.S. Postal Service, this is our season for many reasons.
Because we treat every package like it's from our own Aunt Kathy.
Because we have the manpower, the tech power, and the willpower to get the job done.
Because of amazing services like text alerts.
Because we deliver to more people in more places than anyone.
Because through rain, sleet, snow, or whatever else Mother Nature throws at us, we bring our A game.
When it comes time to ship your gifts, trust the U.S. Postal Service, because this is our season. Priority you.
Package like it's from our own Aunt Kathy.
Because we have the manpower, the tech power, and the willpower to get the job done.
Because of amazing services like text alerts.
Because we deliver to more people in more places than anyone.
Because through rain, sleet, snow, or whatever else Mother Nature throws at us, we bring our A game.
When it comes time to ship your gifts, trust the U.S. Postal Service, because this is our season. Priority you. For more info about our services, go to USPS.com.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
All right, welcome back. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080. You know, this is why I think we're going to win, Glenn and Bonnie. And we just played a clip by Marty Mativa from my old TV show, who had never really thought through what he did for a living. And what he does is he redistributes wealth. He set up a nonprofit, and the businesses in the Matt Valley, if they need money for anything, he'll get them a grant, and he'll give them a bunch of cash. And his point was, well, if we don't get it up here, they'll get it in Missouri. And that whole point, that operation, which so many nonprofits are involved in today, they really don't, a lot of the nonprofit heads, they go home at night and rest well thinking, hey, I'm helping businesses. Well, first of all, they're not helping anybody. The family that went to work that day and made the money that went into paying for that grant is the one who's helping those businesses. But I remember we had a conversation with a gal who had a cell phone, an Obama phone. And I kind of just very gently talked her through the whole process of, well, who's paying? You realize that you're not paying your phone bill. I didn't do it in an accusatory way. I just kind of asked her, where do you think the money comes from? And she really dawned on her for the first time in her life that someone else was paying her phone bill. This is why we're going to win. Because what the education bureaucracy and what Hollywood and what the media is trying to tell you isn't true. It's a house built on sand. And as we continue to talk about these issues using common sense, without being, Mark Levin-like, I know everybody loves him, but he just really, the nastiness in which he speaks, you don't win anybody that way. And I think it's important that as we reason with people and respect them and treat them with kindness, which I'm guilty of not doing all the time, but I'm trying. I really think we're gonna change some minds in this country, and I believe we're gonna win this country back.
And how do you do that? Is it through the IRS, tax reform? I mean, do you?
Well,
because as long as they're allowed, or the nonprofit, and they are allowed to get federal grants, that's going to continue. So
you're talking about logistics now. I'm talking big picture.
Well, you said you think we're going to win. So
I do believe we're going to win.
I want to know how.
Well, I don't know how it's going to play out logistically,
Mm-hmm.
but I know it's going to start with one person at a time. As Glenn so eloquently said on this broadcast several months ago, it starts with one person. And even Marty Mativa there. I would hope that he would go home thinking to himself, maybe I ought to go ahead and get a job where I'm actually creating some of the value, because I'm just a middleman. Maybe he won't. But as more people begin to reevaluate this idea that government is the answer for everything.
I thought you had two important points, one of which I think you got very strongly, and the other one I don't think Alaskans are quite familiar with. The first one that I think you got really strongly was your statement that if this was really needed, then we already have organizations that do it, and they don't need government money in order to make it happen. That is a very, very strong point, that if you are a believer in the free market, if you're a believer that the free market figures out what it needs and then it creates opportunities for people who want to do that, then he really had to question in and of himself. He realized at that point, look, I'm a government employee. And he didn't like that. That was very powerful. The other argument we're having is about the federal government saddling the next generation with debt and then handing that money out to people and said, if you bow to me, I'll give you some of this money that I borrowed from your kids. If you don't bow to me, by the way, I'm still going to borrow the money from your kids. Now, here's what's missing in America, and this is the only way that we will win. When people are offended by the idea, not that we're not going to get the free money from the federal government, which it's not free, by the way, about Medicaid. Not that we're not going to put 44,000 more people on welfare, but that if the state of Alaska doesn't desire to bow down to the federal government, that our children will be saddled with the same debt that somebody in Missouri and somebody in Florida and somebody in all the other places until we are offended by the idea.
And you're talking about Bill Walker.
Bill Walker is planning on putting 44,000 more people on welfare. He's planning on taking First Act. And here's the difficulty for him is the very same difficulty that the guy who you talked to had. If I don't take this money and direct it to local businesses and then they will use it hopefully for some good, then someone else will do it. It's not like they're going to change the federal funding formula for this program, so we might as well direct the money to Alaska. At some point, we have too much debt for the next generation who's paying all the bills of these things. The turning point, I think, for when we will start winning this argument is when people start getting offended at two things. Number one, that we're putting debt on the next generation for things that we want rather than for things that we have to have. Number two, the idea that the federal government, if you don't bow to the federal government, that you suffer the penalties and you get no benefit. It's not the way that our society was designed. It's not the way our country was designed. It's totally unfair. It's ridiculous. It's asinine. And if we don't change that idea, which is what you're trying to get to, you're trying to say, look, you taking the money continues the problem of us not being offended.
What percentage of Americans get that now?
0.
No, come on.
No,
seriously.
I don't know. I would love to hear
40%,
from people. 40%,
35%
of Americans get what part of it?
The two things you mentioned. That what we're doing is when we're spending this money, it's the kids who are going to pay for it.
Yeah.
If they can. It may be their grandkids.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And the second thing is that the government comes with gifts, but it also comes with orders and stipulations.
Yeah, I would
say.
say.
So what percentage of Americans get that?
40% of people get the first one, where future generations are going to pay off our wants rather than our must-haves, right? When we go to war and future generations have to pay that off, that's different when we fought World War II, for instance. I would say 70% of people get the fact that they don't like the federal government demanding that we bow down to them, but only about 30% of people are going to do anything about it.
5, 6, 9, 10, 80.
Is that fair?
That might be. I was going to say 2 out of 10.
Let's go to Greg.
Yeah.
Greg, you're on.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Glenn and Bonnie.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I was going to say something, but Glenn took just about all of my thunder.
Yes! Boom! I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
The only thing that I can add to that, Dan, is I can't think of a better example of someone exposing unnecessary government spending than the case that you just made with your interview with Marty, whatever his name was. That was extremely Tea Party-ish of you, and I compliment you. That was very well done.
You heard my establishment cred.
We're inducting him into the Tea Party today.
No, but I'll tell you what, that was outstanding, Dan, and I'll bet you he did go home and he looked at 3 or 4 points that you made him come to realize. And, I was going to say the third one that Glenn missed, but then Glenn didn't miss it, and that is that if he doesn't take the money and do something with it, somebody else will. Well, that's the mentality that's got us into $18 trillion in debt. You notice it said 16 when you were doing that
I
interview.
know, a couple years ago, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, no, it's just a matter of people waking up. I
think it's a matter of Republicans figuring out how to make an option for people so that they can opt out of both the taxes and the debt and these programs. Look, Alaska doesn't need more people on welfare. We need more jobs and we need more freedom from the federal government. We have vast amounts of wealth that's waiting for us to responsibly go and develop it. We don't need the government to try and direct us. If they would leave us alone, we would be much better off. We'd be better off if we didn't pay the taxes, didn't have the debt, and didn't have the welfare program.
Well, when Bill Walker accepts the Medicaid scam, like all the other liberal governors, and unlike all the conservative governors in the state. And then the Supreme Court comes back and says that this whole thing's not doable anyway and not constitutional, which I think there's a real strong possibility. Those liberal governors, like Bill Walker, who will have accepted this Medicaid, are going to be in serious trouble with because all of a sudden the subsidies are going to be gone, and these massive rates that they're going to have to pay to be a part of these programs, no one's going to be able to afford them.
But it got him elected. So it worked.
This was a key part, by the way. There were a lot of people who wanted 44,000 more welfare recipients.
There was lots of people who were for this.
Yeah, people were so angry the idea that the federal government was going to be giving our kids' money away to someone else and that we weren't going to be getting a part of it.
But when you put it that way, more people would understand it.
Oh, is that a good explanation for it?
When you said 20%, I don't remember what the 20% was for, but then you said
there were two parts. I said 40% of people I think get the fact that we're wasting the next generation's money on our wants.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's far less than a majority. I think most people get the idea that the states should not be forced by the federal government to bow down to them. I think most people in most states accept that idea, but they also accept, just as this guy did, if we don't take the money, somebody else. So they accept that they don't like it, but they're not going to do anything about it. They don't know what to do.
Well, and when you said the 30% who will actually do something about it, that was the key point.
Yeah.
Because, you get a group of people together, you think of all the people you know, I would say only 2 or 3 out of 10 of them would really do something.
This was the
say
argument
something
that
about it.
The governor was making, this very argument. We do not want more of our people on welfare. We do not want to expand Obamacare. I don't want this Medicaid money because it's going to make our state worse, and so I'm rejecting it, even though they're going to heap this debt on our kids anyway, whether we take the money or not. It's a totally unjust system. It is unjust. If there was a civil rights violation in any civil rights organization worth its salt, it would be here right now telling the state of Alaska, you are being unjustly treated by your federal government.
Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. We're on KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. It's the first day of December 2014. The time 7:58. Of December 2014. The time.
Allure Day Spa and Hair Design. For any service, we give you loyalty reward points to use on any of our products. You get a massage, you feel great, and we give you points to use on products. You have a beauty day, hair, facial, nails. You look wow, and we give you points to spend on products. You come in for waxing, points for products. It's our way of saying thank you for being a client. If you've never been to Allure Day Spa, here's what you'll like. Allure was voted one of the top 5 salons in America, and it's for everyone. If you've never been to Allure, please come by and take a tour to see why people say, I should have stopped in sooner. Once you get to know us, we think you'll love us. Of course, you'll find us on the web, but more importantly, you can find Allure Day Spa and Hair Design downtown, corner of 5th and B.
Hot talk all day. Hot talk every day. 95.1 FM, 1080 AM, KOAN, Anchorage.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. The president sits down with members of his cabinet at this hour for the first of several meetings today amid the aftermath of a police shooting in Ferguson, Missouri. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live at the White House.
The several federal agencies are reviewing a program allowing some military equipment to go to state and local police departments. President Obama ordered that review months ago in part to respond to concerns about how the Ferguson Police Department responded to protests in the days following the shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown. The president also meeting today with civil rights and faith leaders and law enforcement officials about building trust between communities and police. Lisa.
Jared, protesters still demanding justice.
If we don't
get it?
Those in D.C. and others around the country urging supporters to stage walkouts today. Congress comes back 2 hours from now for the rest of a lame duck session with a lot of leftovers. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Lisa, lawmakers have a lot to do in a short time to do it. They need to come up with a budget by the end of next week before the government runs out of money. Some in the GOP have threatened to hold up the budget in an effort to block the president's executive actions on immigration, but Republican Congressman Peter King of New York says that's a bad idea.
I don't think it's good for the Congress, it's good for the Republican Party, or good for the people for us to be bogged down in an endless budget debate between now and the end of the year.
Congress will also take up funding for the fights against ISIS and Ebola. Lisa.
Rachel, thanks. A U.S. fighter jet crashes in the Middle East. Central Command says the pilot was killed and the crash did not happen during combat, though the jet was associated with Operation Inherent Resolve, the fight against ISIS. It is the third death associated with the mission, all listed as non-combat related deaths. CENTCOM says the F-16 was returning to base when it went down and that it did not crash in Iraq or Syria. An investigation underway. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This holiday season, a lot of jewelry stores are talking about value and quality, but talk is cheap. At Helzberg Diamonds, we actually show you what real value and quality mean. With our remarkable asset device, you can see for yourself how and why a diamond sparkles the way it does. Join us as we celebrate 100 years of love with exceptional quality and extraordinary value. Helzberg Diamonds, a Berkshire Hathaway company.
Attention men, are you urinating often, waking at night to urinate? We want to send you a free bottle of Super Beta Prostate, made with a natural ingredient that supports healthy urine flow, bladder emptying, and is shown to reduce waking at night from the urge to urinate. You can try Super Beta Prostate free, only pay shipping and handling. This free giveaway is available while supplies last. For details, just call 800-268-8137. That's 800-268-8137. Call 800-268-8137.
Amid the frenetic pace of holiday season, let Logistics LLC ease the pressure and stress of holiday hosting. Team Logistics is passionate about their work and welcomes the opportunity to transform your vision into reality by combining creative whimsy and imagination with an in-depth attention to detail. No matter the size of your holiday party, their extensive skill and ability to work seamlessly with you means they can help you organize an unforgettable event that is sure to wow your guests. Dream big! Logistics LLC will design, plan, and create a memorable event that will impress without negatively impacting your budget. Think Logistics LLC and watch them build an environment filled with magic and wonder for your holiday guests. Make Logistics LLC your first call when planning your corporate or family holiday party this season. Get a free quote and more information online at logisticsllc.com or give them a call at 276-6060. That's 276-6060.
Hi, this is Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company. Sellers, if you are going to sell your home, now may very well be the best time. The current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates. Now is the time to take advantage of this uncommon phenomenon. We will look back at this period as a golden opportunity to buy or sell. Homeowners planning to sell should call us at 244-0821. We will be happy to come out and do a comparative market analysis at your convenience. Call Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can go your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Why is A&A the shop, Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A the shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A the shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River. You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
Six minutes past 8 o'clock on the first day of December, right here on the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Bonnie Cameron Show on KOAN, KVNT, our number. 569-1080, 569-1080.
Earhart Roofing can take care of your roofing questions, whether it's related to industrial, residential, commercial roofing. They've been in business for 42 years, and this is just a great group of people, and they're the best at what they do. You know, you got your option to work with any roofing company, a lot of good ones here in South Central, but if you want to work with the best, Better Business Bureau Business of the Year for 2010, give them a call, 345-5555. Make sure to go out to earhartroofing.com. You can take a look at some of their past projects. You'll be surprised at how many things they have done. And when you think roofing, think Earhart, E-A-R-H-A-R-T.
It's snowing out there a little bit, so be careful as you're making your way about. We'd love to hear from you if you're out and about. Let us know how the roads are doing, how the traffic's doing. Our number, 569-1080, 569-1080. Snow in the forecast all day today. 50% in the morning, 60% this evening.
I think it was supposed to drop off, by the way. There wasn't supposed to be any more snow. Do you know that Costco
80%.
doesn't sell studded tires anymore?
Why?
Is that right?
I think they're environmentally conscious and they want to kill off human beings. I don't know. Just a couple of theories there.
Instead of making ruts in the road.
Well, you know, frankly, the ruts are very dangerous to human beings.
They are.
I think they create a massive hazard, but having studs in your car, I think absolutely improves your safety.
I would think make stronger pavement.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that? Somebody needs to invent stronger.
Here's the question for
pavement.
people. Why are the roads up in Fairbanks, where many times more people will use studs up there than down here, or, you know, a great majority of people, they don't have all kinds of crazy ruts in their road?
Well, they don't have the population either.
I guess. Is that it?
I would think so.
Well, what the
What do they have,
engineers tell me,
70,000 or something?
what the engineers tell me is that their road bed is made of better stuff than we make our road beds
Well,
out
there
of.
you go.
So
70,000 people live in Fairbanks?
I don't know.
in the Fairbanks area,
I'm
in
guessing.
the North Star borough. I think Fairbanks itself has about 30.
30,000 people live in Fairbanks?
Yeah. You can't understand one of them.
I don't understand that.
Well,
It's a great place to live. It's just
Fairbanks?
a little bit cold
not with
in the
all
winter.
the-
It's a
Little bit
little bit
cold?
hot
Not
in
with
the
the price
summer.
of
There's
heating.
a little too many mosquitoes. All right, I really can't come up with a
Yeah,
reason
no.
why you would live there.
Not with the price of heating. People are going broke.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother earns quite a bit of money, and
Now, let me
he's
ask both-
hurting
Let me
because of that.
ask both of you that question, because, you know, you want to go buy a hamburger, Nome is going to cost you $15.
Mhm.
Will it be a good hamburger?
Probably not.
Okay.
To be honest
Because I
with you.
could pay $15 for a really, really good hamburger.
It would be a private sector hamburger.
My experience in traveling in Bush, Alaska, which I've not done since I've left Channel 2, was you're really not going to get a very good meal.
Okay.
There's just not a lot of good restaurants in rural Alaska.
But
where
if
you
they
gotta
have
sit down
steak, it's going to be
and go,
an inferior cut.
I got to tell my friends about, Charlie's Chinese food in Bethel. The food's not good. Okay, let's just be honest. But what's going to happen? You get $1,200, $1,500 a month to heat your home in Fairbanks. That's just heating your home. And most people in Anchorage, that'd be about $200-300, right? most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
at the
not
height
even
of the
that.
season.
No, like
We're
height
talking
of the season.
January,
Yeah,
February.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen here? Are we going to see eventually a dramatic transformation of the population of this state, where we all kind of congregate around Anchorage and Southeast and maybe the Valley, where you can live and It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Are we going to eventually see that? Or is the government going to continue to prop up the false economy that is Bush, Alaska? And I would throw Fairbanks in there.
They could. That actually could happen here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Because of the price of oil.
Because of the price of oil, the price of energy, transportation is very expensive. Food is enormously expensive in various places. And you're right. Many of these places exist largely because there's a bureau worker who lives here, or right next to the school district worker, which is right next to the state bureaucrat worker, which is right next to the Bristol Bay Native Corporation worker, and so essentially it's just government, and then half of the rest of the people will get checks
from the government.
From the government.
The welfare checks.
Yeah, but the problem is that the welfare checks, without at least the amount of private economy that's supported by the federal government and the bureau government and the district government and the state government, it's just not going to be enough. So I don't know exactly how they live out there now, but I can tell you it's going to get worse regardless of whatever Walker or anybody in the legislature does. It's going to get harder, not worse. And I don't want look, they may transform the way that they heat, right? They may just start burning wood, and we may ship vast amounts of wood out there from a place like Tok or something. There are probably things we can do. There are things we will do. It just won't be through a government bureaucrat, because government bureaucrats are really expensive. It won't be through a government program, because government programs are really expensive. But if we chartered a barge, for instance, Tok apparently has a huge amount of lumber that's half burned. Well, half burned lumber still contains probably 90% of its heat potential. But they would love to have that in Bethel, and they would love to have that in Nome. They would love to have it all over the place. So we go out, charter a thing through charity, because they're going to charge you 1/10 the amount if it's through charity rather than through the government. And then we'll have people go out there with axes and all kinds of stuff.
That's a quick fix, isn't it?
You know what I mean?
I heard there is a road going from Fairbanks to Nome. It's in the plans. It's in the works.
That's done.
For decades.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What we should do is send them all warmer clothes.
Yeah.
And they literally
base layer. That is a great suggestion.
That's how they lived in igloos before. They didn't have a stove in their igloo, so send warm clothes.
Igloos are for hunting.
Base layer.
I asked Frazier. Who's the guy who played Frazier? Kelsey Grammer.
Yes.
I said, how many igloos do you think there are in Alaska today? He said like 144.
Oh, dear.
I did an interview with him and some Hollywood people once. They sent me down there for Channel 2, and I asked them a bunch of crazy questions that were, they were trick questions.
Yeah.
It was amazing how little people know about Alaska. They think we all get on dog sleds and we all have igloos.
Yeah, my father-in-law, who's never been up here, asked me if I had a seal pup for a pet growing up.
My freshman year in college, they thought I was a foreign exchange student in Minnesota, yeah.
But as for Anchorage, we need the Knik Arm Bridge.
Not with Walker, we won't get it.
No. That's all done.
Dead for
we
4 years.
Need it. It's a need.
Well, young families.
We can wait. We'll have to wait.
No.
Young families who want to start a life here.
I can't afford it here.
Buy their own house.
Yeah.
That bridge was crucial.
Oh, yes. It really was. It should have been done years ago.
Such a big, and I blame Parnell for that.
The money's through. The money's done.
Parnell should have wrote a check for that thing.
That's right. I agree with you.
He should have built that first year in office.
Yep.
The second Sarah Palin quit, next day he should have gone and wrote a check.
Absolutely
for the
right.
Bridge.
He had all the legislative support he needed. He could have pushed it through. If it had been a priority,
all those young families who won't be able to buy a house is on him. 814. Who won't be able to buy a house is on him.
Yeah.
8.
$569-1080. Join the conversation. KOAN.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska king crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra-large Golden King crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next-day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in a styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
Move forward and connect like never before with Valpak. Precisely target your best prospects by selecting households based on geography, demographics, consumer behavior, generate tangible, measurable results, and enjoy added exposure when Valpak teams up with big brands and prominent names.
Valpak Values, Guido's Pizza, VCA Animal Hospital, Oxford Essing, Papa John's Pizza, Alaska Car Transport, Great Clips, GNC, Diamond Airport Parking, Massage Envy, Great Alaska Pizza, American Red Cross, Brother Francis Shelter, and Donaldson's Winter Gear.
Trail Boss Solutions is your local award-winning, nationally recognized construction and remodel firm. From handyman services to kitchen design and remodel to custom home construction, Trail Boss Solutions has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion, on time and on budget. Trail Boss Solutions is the only call for all your construction, design, and remodel needs. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions Direct at 646-1403.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give him a call.
Make a donation.
80 KOAN.
8:17 in the morning, first day of the month. Here it is, December 1st. Holiday season upon us. Christmas, excuse me if that offends you. 25 days away.
And who cares if it does?
Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron on KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080. School district now saying, we thought we had a deficit. Actually, we have a surplus. Sorry about that.
Oh, and not only do we have a surplus, we have almost double that surplus that we thought.
Spend it, spend it, spend it.
This is why I am, and I said earlier in the broadcast, Brad Keithley, who if you read anything he writes or listen to anything he says, will tell you that the end of the world is nigh. And by nigh, I mean like within 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's doom and gloom. We're out of money. We're broke. We're going to be riding donkeys. Look, in the Anchorage School District, we spend about $19,000. Is it now $18,500 a year to educate a child? National average is $9,000. That's twice the national average. Rural Alaska, it's off the charts. It's worse than that. I think this can be good. Let's starve the beast. Now it's going to be difficult because you got Governor Walker, who's beholden to the unions. Clearly, they're the reason he's in there. And unions want to spend, and then they want to start spending again.
Now, I'd say the problem with the unions is their monopoly power. There isn't going to be money to spend, but they're still going to try and wield monopoly power, which is the only way that we can stop spending.
But that's my point. If the spend crowd goes to Mr. Walker and says, wait a minute, we gave you a bunch of cash so you could get to be governor, and you're not going to spend.
He's not going to spend. He doesn't have the money.
But he doesn't, but he can get it. He can get it from the big oil companies.
Oh, we're gonna
can raise income tax.
Now he said he's not going to do that.
He can raise sales tax.
Oh, that ought to be fun.
He can try to convince Alaskans that kids are going to be out on the street unless we raid the permanent fund.
Yep, and I expect all these things to happen, just not year one. Year two, you will see in large measure all these different arguments about, look, we're so out of money. I know the conservatives or whoever wants to close down schools, and you don't really care about kids, and we're just going to allow you to prove it this year because you don't have any plan. So this is going to be a watershed moment for the state of Alaska. They are expecting that these oil prices will stay down, and even if they were $100 a barrel, we still would have run out of money at some point. But I think the goal here for conservatives, by the way, and I think there's a very positive, just like you, I look at the limitation of government being able to spend as much money as it wants, and let's just be honest. The government in our state has been able to spend as much money as it could figure out how to spend, as much as it wanted on whatever it wanted. Didn't they spend money flying people in here to go to the shootout?
Glenn,
Yeah.
may I say a word
Years
about
ago.
that incident?
Yes.
I was doing my television show at the time, and I had a co-host who didn't like me to get excited. So I'm going to get excited now for that time.
Mm.
What the legislature said yes to, literally, was we have a sports event that nobody cares about, that nobody wants to go to, that nobody is interested in. So what we'll do is we will offer anyone in the state who wants to fly to Anchorage that weekend free tickets on the state's dime, in hopes that this sporting event that nobody cares about and nobody wants to go to, they will, while they're in town that weekend, possibly mosey on over to the arena and attend a game in which a city of 260,000 says, no, we're not interested, no thank you, It is literally the greatest single example of government waste in the history of mankind, not Alaska. Here's what it proved beyond a shadow of a doubt. In the city of Juneau, in the Alaska legislature, if you don't say no to that, you will say no to nothing. There is no such thing as the word no when you say yes to that.
Mm-hmm. And this was the Democrat-led coalition, right? That pushed this on us.
It was, but
there were plenty of Republicans on board with that Democrat-led
Parnell
coalition.
signed off on it.
Parnell signed off on it. Didn't veto it.
Yeah.
Well,
I still look back on that time and think it was a fairy tale. Like, no, that didn't happen.
couldn't
They
possibly
never
have
did
done
that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We will
couldn't believe it
fly
at the time.
you to Anchorage, and oh, by the way, would you do us a solid and run over to this basketball game with teams you've never heard of, and just sit your butt in that warm seat, because it came with free tickets, by the way. Not only did you get a free,
free plane ride and free tickets to the
just
event.
sit there for one game.
Oh.
Just consider it a solid for us, the big government folk.
Did they give him per diem too to spend?
No, they didn't.
The day.
We're gonna pay you.
And I
to go.
remember I had Steve Cobb on the TV show. Steve Cobb, who's since passed away. He was the athletic director out there. Oh, Dan, I can tell you, I'm going to give you statistics, and you're going to find out that we will greatly increase the population of these games, and we'll give you numbers, and we'll never got them.
Never got a
And
dime
who
of it.
cares if it makes the more people attend the game? That we don't
Dan,
pay for people to do that.
To your point, this is the greatest opportunity for Alaska to have a wake-up call. This is a reality check. It's going to be good for us. The best thing that could possibly happen out of it, and this is the only time in my opinion, I've been actually saying this for a little over a year. You know, the greatest possibility here is that the education monopoly, that's so expensive. My kids get educated for $6,200 a year, not $9,500, not $18,000, $6,200 a year. Now, the only way that happens is if we break up the monopoly, because if you say, well, I can have as much public money as I want, and I can serve all kinds of, children in different ways and all of this kind of stuff. As long as you maintain that monopoly, it's not going to change. The price isn't going to change. The outcomes aren't going to change. Nothing's going to change. But I see this as the greatest opportunity in state history to actually remove from the teachers union the monopoly power that they have over our education system, for the mere fact that we can't afford them. Not because it was going to improve education, which it will, not because it's better for children, not because it's reflective of the parents' interests, but because we don't have enough money. The saddest, most ridiculous reason on earth, that's what's going to bust open the education monopoly.
Can we transfer back to the political arena for a minute? I think that even a leftist who thinks government is the answer to every problem would admit the state's out of control when it comes to spending. And this is why Sean Parnell lost. It was not the 700 National Guard stories. That helped, Bill Walker. But Parnell, and I understand he had a bipartisan coalition in the Senate in which he totally went along and let them take the lead, and they spent like drunk sailors. And once he got control of both the House and the Senate, he began to show some fiscal discipline. Well, too late. This is why George Bush Sr. lost. this is why George Bush Jr. only beat Al Gore by, he actually didn't beat Al Gore by any votes. He just won the Electoral College. If you're going to be a Republican, you got to show some fiscal discipline, or you're useless to the electorate. And this is why Republicans lose, because they don't do what they're supposed to do. We already have a big government party. We've seen it in its full glory in the last 4 years, and the last 8 years in this country, 6 years. Republicans have to understand. John Boehner, Bonnie's good friend, has to understand. You've got to cut the government. We're not big government folk. We got people like that already.
Well, and this is why your suggestion is so important for Republicans to hear and to understand what exactly will happen. By funding big government, you are funding people who oppose small government. You're giving them more money. You're handing over to people who will oppose you in the end all the money that they need in order to defeat you. If you reduce the size of government, you know what you do? You starve those people who just want more government and just want their paychecks from government and just want their benefits from government and don't really care who they have to, essentially destroy in order to get there. So that's number one. Number one is, if you fund big government, you are funding your own destruction, which is that is really what happened in the last 4 years. The Republicans funded government too big. The government sector was so big that it could unelect Sean Parnell when the time came. That's what they did. The other problem is, when you have this large government sector and you don't have a charitable sector, right? By giving money to government, you are starving the charitable sector, because people say, well, we already have 23,000 public employees. Why on earth do we need a Catholic Social Services or a Salvation Army? And so if you starve government a little, you'll end up making these charitable organizations and the charitable parts of our society much more important. And you know what we'll find out, which we didn't have an opportunity to find out? They work very well. People get right out of their problems that they've been in. They start acting responsibly. They fix their family situations. They stop taking drugs. They stop killing themselves. They start getting jobs. They start getting trained. They start fixing. And that doesn't happen when you have huge government programs that are out there to pick up every person who's got any kind of a problem and start subsidizing their problems. So Sean Parnell did lose, I think, for largely those two reasons.
Governor Walker, of course, will be inaugurated today. He apparently is heading to Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, get some of that Medicaid cash. Big suitcase loads of
Obamacare going to expand
cash,
up
your
up here.
kids' futures money, bringing it back to the state. I'll tell you the two words that are going to be key in the next 4 years. Kevin Meyer. We know Mike Chenault will stand up to the unions. Will Kevin Meyer? Will ConocoPhillips employee Kevin Meyer be able to withstand the attack that he's a shill of big oil?
Now, why do you? Because that's their claim is going to be. Because he's also a conservative.
They're going to go at him that way.
Kevin Meyer has always been a conservative.
He has been. He's been a Sean Parnell conservative, which is not much of a fighter. So we'll see. We'll see. He's going to have to
withstand the peer pressure.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to be tough for everybody.
Put his dukes up.
People have to understand, and I've said this, that being a legislator in the next couple of years is going to be one of the hardest jobs you've ever witnessed, because these are not normal times. To transition to a government that's 60-70% of the size that it is now, a lot of programs are going to have to go. A lot of people are going to have to get jobs. We got to get resource development going. We're going to have to stop listening to the Greenpeaces and all these environmental organizations. Look, the change that's going to happen to our society, while good, is going to be a lot. It's going to be very dramatic.
KOAN, KVNT, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Time currently 8:29.
News brought to you by Jansen Funeral Homes, Jansen's Evergreen Memorial Chapel, Jansen's Alaska Cremation Center, and Jansen's Eagle River Funeral Home. Jansen Funeral Homes, where just like family, they're there when you need them.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. An Iditarod musher from Matsu has withdrawn from the 2015 race after an accident. That story from Ann Kendall.
44-year-old Karen Hendrickson is recovering after being struck by an SUV that careened off the Parks Highway and into her ATV while she was doing a training run with 14 dogs. But the recovery won't be in time for the Iditarod in February. Hendrickson was said to be more concerned about her dogs after the accident, which broke her back and badly bruised her legs. Some other mushers in Matsu rushed to the accident scene to help find the dogs, who were not injured but were spooked by the crash and running around unattended. They're all okay now.
Bonnie, the new trend of shopping on Thanksgiving Day seems to be taking off. Shopper Track reports shopping on Thursday was 24% higher than last year, despite various petitions and protests to try to keep stores closed. That's your Hot Talk News update.
For today, a thick cloud cover with a bit of snow in the afternoon with little or no accumulation. High 26. Then a little snow tonight, which will accumulate according to an inch. Low 23. Snow showers tomorrow, accumulating an inch or two with considerable clouds throughout the day. Storm total snowfall amount 1 to 3 inches. High tomorrow 34. And a low tomorrow night of 22. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Technology may be able to fight childhood obesity by helping kids keep track of what they eat. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Weight loss apps may offer help for children battling their weight. There are now a variety of weight loss apps that are kid-friendly and pretty simple to use, including ones that group foods as either red, yellow, or green. Children are taught to simply reduce the unhealthy red light foods over time. Dietitians say weight loss apps for kids are a pretty new trend. It's like a modern-day food journal. It also helps take pressure off of parents who often avoid topics of weight loss with their kids because they fear they may make their children feel bad. Apps are a great way to get your child motivated to adopt healthy habits and to also make it fun. Now, research has shown that by keeping track of your food and what you eat and drink can make you more mindful of it and therefore more able to lose some weight. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-203-7718. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-203-7718. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-203-7718. That's 1-800-203-7718.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
Why, thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist with Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
All right, 25 ahead of 9 o'clock. 569-1080 is our number. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, broadcasting on KOAN, KVNT in the Valley. Also streaming live, video and audio, danfagan.us. Mike Daniels over at Country Financial, very wise man, very knowledgeable fellow. His team, the country representative team here in Alaska, they're all about helping you get to where you need to go financially. Financial planning is their expertise. Country Financial, 13 locations in Alaska. They've been helping Alaskans for years, getting to the place where they have a worry-free, stress-free retirement. You'll sit down with a country representative, and within minutes you'll realize, wow, this was a good decision. Go see Mike Daniels and his team, Country Financial. The number 866-COUNTRY, that's how you set up an appointment. Again, the number 866-COUNTRY. Country is spelled
COUNTRY.
Should finish strong there.
569-1080. 569-1080. So you were out in the valley, and there were 3 people there at your Thanksgiving dinner.
We had about 12 total with me and my kids.
And 3 of the
2 hosts.
3 of the folks said they listened.
3 of the people there said that the 3 of the guys there honed in when they heard who I work for. And
they didn't know it was you.
No, they said,
"Oh, how many Bonnies are there?
You're
I mean,
that
honestly,
Bonnie."
Are there a million Bonnies running around?
But
out there
like
I'm
I
not
said,
aware
it's
of?
better than, "Oh, you're that woman."
Well, you get enough of that here.
That is funny. So you're sitting there breaking bread with them on Thanksgiving, and they listen to the show, and they didn't even know you were part of the show.
No, I had never met them before, and we were all going around talking about what we were thankful for. And I said I was thankful for my husband's employment. And then they said, "Oh, well, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a homeschooling mom, and I stay at home." And then the host, my friend, she said, "Oh yeah, and she works as a talk show host." And they said, "Oh, really? Where?" And I said, "Well, do you know Dan Fagan and Glen Biegel?" "Oh yeah. Oh, you're that Bonnie. Oh wow." And the one guy was just tickled pink. It was
Were
so
you
cute.
not going to tell them of your association with us? Were you ashamed? Or?
No, it's just, I don't know. I'm not used to the idea of just like, I don't go up to people and say, "Hi, I'm Bonnie Cameron. Have you heard of me?"
We should get you a T-shirt.
I'm that Bonnie.
I'm that woman.
I'm that woman.
Anyway, it was pretty cute, and they were definite listeners. So
I try to live an honest, upright life, but sometimes I'm not honest. When I travel and I play golf, and they'll put me with other people, and people ask me what they do, I always make something up.
Really?
Because you're gonna get 1,000 questions.
yeah.
If you say I'm a talk show host, a talk show host? Really? What do you do? What kind of calls do you take? What are you talking about? So I'll say I'm an architect. I'm a lawyer. I'm a teacher.
I'm a broker.
I just
Nobody knows what that is.
And they leave you alone.
Yeah,
Huh.
they want to know about it.
I would never be. I don't know if it's brave enough or crazy enough to do something.
I learned because people will Google you on the course.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot of stuff about me. I'm rabid, crazy, right wing, and
right.
Yeah. So I learned that after about 5 or 6 of those, and they
weren't trying to find out your handicap. Because that's what I'd be Googling people for.
Really?
How good of a golf player is this dude anyway?
Now, have you ever said something you regretted, like gastroenterologist or something, and they're like, "Hey, I have this problem. Maybe you could tell me what it is."
Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm a physician. Guy starts having a heart attack. Well.
I mean, like even if you say architect, "Oh, do you think you could help me out with my deck or something like that?"
Yeah, I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure most people want to have an
No,
architect design their deck.
Maybe you should just stick to the truth.
I should just say, I'm getting old enough now I can just say retired. I'm retired.
Yeah, that's why I'm here on the golf course.
Now, so they asked you what you're most thankful for. That was your answer, that your husband has a job.
Yes, that he has a job that he likes.
What are you most thankful for, Glen Biegel?
Most thankful for.
And you cannot say family, friends, or the Trinity, which is what we did on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Those were the rules?
Well, Glenn on Wednesday, he had people, if they called in, they had to tell who they were most thankful for, and it could not be family, friends. Yes, it couldn't be family, friends, or like God, because that was understood. And so he had people say who was most surprising, who was the least known person, and who was the most life-changing. And I said Dan Fagan for my most surprising.
Making your life a living hell?
No, it's the most surprising person.
I said Sarah Palin.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
and
Chef Boyardee.
And Mark Begich was Glenn's.
Really?
That was my most surprising.
Surprising?
These are the categories, so that to bring you up to date. The three categories were most surprising, a person who you're thankful for that other people would find very surprising. Mine was Mark Begich, because I wouldn't be in radio without him. I had to continually correct Rick Rydell.
Okay.
I had to correct the record. So without Mark Begich, I wouldn't have gone on radio.
All right.
Another one was somebody who,
you're in it now.
Somebody who doesn't realize how important they were to your life.
Okay.
All right. Somebody who you'd say, you are the person who I think was most life-changing for me. Thank you very much. I'm thankful for you. And then would go, what? Yeah. I have no idea that I had that effect. So that was Dave and Kathy Cuddy. For me. Now, they were a big help when I was running for office, and I watched Dave go through the process of running against Ted Stevens twice, which was life-changing for me and kind of prepared me to be in Joe's campaign and a number of other things. And then the doctor that saved my, he operated on me.
Okay.
That was life-changing.
What was yours, Brian?
I remember the most surprising one was Sarah Palin, and that was because she's just a small-town person from Alaska who made it famous.
Yes, she did.
Makes you think you can do anything.
He was thankful for cheese, macaroni and cheese sandwiches, as I recall.
Like, it was Chef Boyardee, William Kraft, all the people that make cheese. No. Another one was Brian Setzer, and he's the lead singer of the Stray Cats and the Brian Setzer Orchestra. And that's what got me into liking music, and I became a DJ.
Because of his music?
Yep, I liked rockabilly, believe it or not. Yep, and then the other one was an old boss of mine, Rance Brannon. He kind of taught me that you can't take it with you.
Yeah?
You can't take it
How did he teach you that?
Because he died with a whole bunch of good stuff.
Oh, no.
And where did it get him?
It's like George Strait ain't never seen a hearse with the luggage on top.
Hearse. That's right.
Yeah.
Hearse.
Hearse, whatever. Hearse rental car.
Yeah.
The
luggage on top.
We never put a trailer in the back.
So what were the categories again?
The categories were the most surprising.
Most surprising what?
Most surprising person who you're thankful for in your life, and that is the one that other people would find surprising.
Well, it's funny because you say you got into radio because of Rick Rydell. I did too.
Mark,
okay.
Yeah.
Because when I was working for Channel 2, my last couple of years there, I went to the day shift. And I would listen to him every morning as I was getting ready, and I just got so many good stories out of it. It was the best journalism time of my life. I mean, I was breaking stories left and right. And then I realized I want to be on there on the radio, though, because that's when you can really get into the stories. And his show made me want to get into radio.
So maybe that would be your life-changing person.
Okay, I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose. What were the other ones?
So there is most surprising, somebody that other people would find very surprising, and
least known.
Least known, that they don't realize what effect that they had on your life.
Okay. Let me think about that. 569-1080, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT, some good rockabilly music right there.
All right.
844.
Walk right in off the street. You can take the load right off your feet. Mama, bring a menu to your seat. But
Fagan and Don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
Mark your calendars. It's time for the 15th annual Guns and Hoses charity hockey game, where Anchorage Fire and Police face off against Alaska's military at the Sullivan Arena. Cheer on Alaska's finest. Sunday, December 7th. There will be tons of fun for the whole family. Free pony rides and face painting. Visit with Santa and see the holiday fire truck. Say hi to Star the reindeer. Shoot to win a new car. The puck drops at 4. Come on down to the Sullivan Arena. Sunday, December 7th at 4. And cheer on your favorite team.
Now, more food items. That's right. Family Dollar has just added even more of the great brands your family loves. And Family Dollar's having a sale. Check it out. Oreo cookies, 15 1/4 ounce size, are sale priced at just $2.50 each. 30-ounce Hellmann's mayonnaise is on sale for only $3.50. And when you buy 2 10-count packs of Oscar Mayer wieners, you'll get both for only $5. More great food items and more big savings. Now at Family Dollar. Sale price is good through June 7th.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
I just realized we only have 13 minutes left in this broadcast.
Crazy. Where did the last hour go?
Hour ago, we've been on since 6 a.m.
I know, but I'm 6 to about 7:30.
I have not gotten my most important answer here, by the way. Yes. What animal was it that shut off the power in East Anchorage?
I told you they couldn't figure it out because it was so
identify
fried.
They
It's unrecognizable from what I hear.
Chupacabra.
Bigfoot.
Anyway, well.
I'm sure the government has hold of that animal now.
I bet they do. Hopefully it wasn't Bigfoot or something that we really needed to be around, to be looking for.
E.T.
I never saw E.T.
What?
I know.
Man.
I don't watch science fiction stuff.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but that's just...
It's real.
Men in Black's the closest thing I've ever come to.
Oh, that's science fiction.
It's funny.
That was actually a good movie. I like that movie.
Tommy Lee Jones is just brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Very dry-witted.
So who is your least known and most surprising?
The best line in that movie is, "We at the FBI don't have a sense of humor we're aware of, ma'am." Love that. He's just so dry. If anyone's ever picked up a piece of paper after me, I gush over them. So everyone knows.
This is true.
Who's had impact on my life, I tell them. So I don't really have anybody like that. Sorry.
Least known? No, somebody who would never guess?
Because if anyone's ever had an impact on my life, I make sure that I go way out of my way to let them know that they've had a major impact on my life. So I can't really think of anyone that's influenced me or had an impact, and I've not let them know.
Yeah. Well, it took me half the show to come up with that. So.
Well, that's the purpose of it, is to make you think. There's a lot of people who surround us who.
I mean, there are famous people like Dennis Prager, who doesn't know the impact he's had on my life.
Well,
there you go.
I think Todd called in and said that Rush Limbaugh was his.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's okay.
Yeah. Well, the people I don't know, I could go. There's hundreds of them.
Well, I eliminated friends, family, and God.
Yeah.
Because those are taken as a given that you're
right.
You're thankful for them. So I'm trying to break people.
I guess the question. Well, here's a good question now.
All
right. Who would be someone that you don't know, but has had a major impact on your life? Who would be the one person
that you don't know?
That you don't know, but they've like a Charles Krautheimer or a Dennis Prager or someone who's a well-known person and they have a lot of influence, and you have gleaned so much from them personally.
I would say Rush.
Rush Limbaugh?
I don't know how I could get away with not saying Rush because I listened to him for about 15 years.
Yeah, I used to listen to him back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I was going to say Mr. Rogers. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
The thing about Rush was more just of a confirmation of what I had already believed. He just kind of reinforced because everything he said, I'm like, yeah, that's right, yeah. And you never heard it spoken publicly, other than my house with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when my dad trained me and raised me to believe, Rush came in behind him and said, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he made conservatism entertaining. And that is so rare because we take ourselves so seriously. We're always so dour and, oh, my gosh, it's very important what I have to say here. Let me take 15 minutes of your life. And, and he knew how to break subjects up. He would break stories. He would give us information we didn't have. I mean, he was like the Drudge of his day, but he was really funny, too. So,
well, you remember the homeless update? Ain't got no home, no place to roam. And then he gives some stupid story about how there's 20 million homeless people in a town of 500,000. And, he would point to the absurdity of the left because the left could say anything back then because they controlled everything. And so he would expose their ridiculousness, and it just was hilarious.
I didn't even know there was two sides to the story until I was listening to Rush in the back seat of my parents' car.
That's right.
Yeah, growing up. So.
Oh, one of the most important Americans in the last 100 years, no doubt.
And I just like that song.
And look, you pull Ivan Moore aside and say, hey, Ivan, what do you think? Rush Limbaugh? I wish you were more. I wish Adolf Hitler were more like the left hates Rush more than any human being in the history of
because he was effective.
He was effective,
not because he believes anything that a conservative doesn't believe.
That's right.
Or it's just because he was
still
effective.
is. Those books he's got out now, the Rush Revere books.
Yep.
My kids love them.
My kids listen to him too.
And I am learning things. Except the other day, my son said to my daughter, "What would you think of being a pilgrim back in those days?" And she goes, "I wouldn't like that because I wouldn't want to be around a talking horse. That's freaky."
Wow.
So it's having an effect, and the schools are starting to read his books.
And I don't get anger and hatred from Rush. I've never heard Rush disrespect the callers.
Just sarcasm.
Sarcasm, but not his callers.
No.
He doesn't yell at his callers.
Well, sometimes his callers will fake out the call screener, and he does get very upset with that.
Well, that's because they lied to his call screener.
Yes.
But he always treats his callers with respect. He listens very closely to his callers. And I haven't listened to Rush. When I left the state and I was doing some traveling, I'd listen to him in the car some. But I have not.
And he impressed you whenever you listened, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he definitely head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
He only takes like 2 or 3 callers per show now, though.
I know.
So he doesnn't have to take very many.
Right.
But
no, he's definitely a special individual, and he's very consistent. He's not, Glenn Beck sometimes will go off the farm and, get into that conspiracy stuff. And Rush is pretty consistent. He's pretty solid.
Yeah. But Dennis Prager was, of course.
Another guy, very wise.
Yeah.
And Prager had the courage to get off the political farm occasionally, talking about happiness hour and women, men and women. And I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Dr. Laura was a big deal.
I didn't
cannot
care for her.
stand Dr. Laura.
So judgmental.
I really get nervous when they start talking about to the callers, and she's get to the point.
Yeah, she's trying to get him.
I get anxiety every time listening to him. And then she'd be like, "You're stupid."
There's a couple of guys. If I were to say who were my most influential,
person was stupid, okay?
That have been most influential in my life. Guys that I don't. Well, actually, I do. I met one of them. I didn't meet the other guy. It's Bill Johnson and Chris Fullerton. And these guys, you don't know who they are. They're just brilliant. I mean, these guys are so wise. And mostly I've gotten from. I've read all their books, but they also have YouTube videos, and you should Google them. I'm telling you, man, these guys walk in wisdom.
Hmm.
And they're not political so much. They're just about life. But they, in the last 3 years especially, they have had such an impact on my life personally. And another guy named Danny Silk, who I actually had on the TV show and I've met personally, is another just so wise. And these are solid people, you know. And so that would be the people that I would say that have had most influence on me, especially in the last 3 years. I actually know Danny, I know Chris, but I don't know Bill Johnson.
What percentage of people do you think seek out wisdom rather than seek out tickling the funny bone?
I don't know. You know, I was thinking, I was listening to Chris Fullerton last night, and every time I listen to him, it's like, I'm just so blown away. And I'm thinking, why do I listen to these guys? I just think they feed me. I mean, they make life easier. They give me tools to live a better life. I'm a better person listening to these guys, you know, and I think that's why I go back. That's what I look for. I want somebody who's going to show, you know, I want what's real. We talk about truth. Truth is what's real. You know, when they talk about reality television, that's the worst thing you can name reality television.
It's not
There's
real
no
at all.
realness in reality television.
Yeah.
But I want what's real in life. That's all. That's all I'm looking for, right? That's all we're all looking for.
I watched these beautiful women in bikinis eating worms one day. I think they had a choice between cow brains and worms and some other things that were massively unpleasant. They called that reality television. I'm not sure that that's extremely real to me. That was a little odd.
That's just filming people in fake situations.
Yeah.
Real people in fake situations.
It's just degrading. It's basically. But what percentage of people do? Because I think most people probably. I don't even know that most people even believe in wisdom anymore.
Oh, it's everything. You got to get wisdom, and it's our responsibility. You're not going to stumble upon it. You have to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
You will not become wise just hoping to become wise.
And that's the one thing God says he'll give you if you just ask for it.
All you do is ask with a humble heart.
Yep.
All it takes is a little humility and a desire, a hunger for it. He'll fill you up, man. He'll fill you up to the brim. But you got to ask, and you got to seek it. And then you have to get it not just for personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
You have to obtain wisdom so that you can share it with others and make everybody around you have a better life. That's the whole purpose of wisdom.
Well, I'm all for the funny bone. That's where I'm going.
There's a lot of wisdom in comedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, that's true as well. Yeah, there's wisdom.
All right. Well, that was a quick show.
Mm-hmm.
That did. That
Happy
one really
Monday, everybody. Happy December. Holy smokes.
December 1st.
New governor going to be installed today. Governor Walker, Lieutenant Governor Malat down in Juneau. So lots of places to watch that.
We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, 6 a.m., KOAN, KVNT. Have a great Monday afternoon.